All right, so the New York Mets played their first spring training game. Finally, we had a Mets game to see, and it was Francisco Lindor's first outing in a New York Mets uniform. And it was unfortunate that his first at bat as a Met was a ground out, a routine one to the pitcher, and he just got thrown out. But still, just good to see him in a Mets uniform. Just good to see the Mets play some games. That definitely was very encouraging to see. As far as the final score, the New York Mets losing 2-0, that's not exactly what you were hoping for. And for me, the most frustrating thing was just the way they played. What's up, YouTube, man? This is live. Yep, we're talking right now, talking about the game that just happened. I was able to kind of see it. I mean, the Marlins had a stream of it. The camera angle was god-awful. I mean, you're pretty much at the upper deck watching the game. So, I mean, this is for the best I could see it. But what I didn't like about today's game was just the fundamentals. I didn't like the base running. There were two big plays. Obviously, Brandon Nimmo leading off the game, hits a nice ball out to left field, good way going the opposite field. Hey, Captain Frank. And then Brandon Nimmo just takes a wide turn, and then he's like, oh, what do I do? Oh, let me get thrown out first. Like, that's not how you want to start off your first spring training game. And then later on, Kevin Pillar, he hits a ball into left center field, and he gets thrown out at second base by Sterling Marte. So, I mean, just bad base running on both ends from them. And then just the fielding was not great either. I mean, there was a ball hit down the left field line that Jose Martinez took all day to get to, and Starlin Marte gets a triple. Aguilar hits a 2-run homer. That's how the Marlins get their 2 runs. The camera angle was being at the – yeah, I agree, Matt. Like, you're much better off actually being at the game watching it than the camera angle the Marlins were showing. It is spring training, Captain Frank, but I just don't like that the fundamentals were bad. Like base running, fielding, stuff like that. Like that's something that could carry over. Like you got to be smarter on the bases, whether it's spring training or not. You have to know your just take your single. I mean, with the kind of lineup that the Mets have, you don't want to make outs on the bases. You want to give these guys opportunities at the plate. Like you want Alonso and you want J.D. Davis to be able to drive you in. The pitching was pretty good. I mean, the only guy that didn't pitch well was Riley Gilliam. He was the guy that gave up the 2 runs, but at least everyone else looked pretty good. I mean, Harold Gonzalez, I don't expect him to really get much burn. Thomas Zopucki pitched in this game, so that was pretty exciting. Stephen Tarpley pitched better than I expected. So, I mean, as far as the pitching, it was pretty good. But the thing is that the good thing for the Mets is they didn't use their main guys. Like the fact that their 3 best hitters last year in McNeil, Conforto, and Dom Smith, all 3 of them didn't play. And they didn't really use any big-time pitchers. So, I mean, you didn't really see that many guys that have opening day. They're going to be on the roster as far as the pitching. So I feel like tomorrow we'll see more of, the full lineup that we would hope to see come opening day. I'm guessing they were seeing if you could add another base on a hit and better try now than later. I guess, but I think it was more so that Brandon Nimmo, knowing like how excited he was and all the emotions, he probably was just trying to do something big and got nervous and he got caught up. So the Nimmo one, I'm not too mad about. I was more upset with the way that Kevin Pillar tried to go to second base. I mean, Pillar, just take your base hit and that's all. They had trouble hitting runners on base last year. I wouldn't be worried yet. No, they did. And it was so much that they showed runners on base. It's like the guys that were stranding them. The fact that Jonathan VR, 2 bad ground outs, I didn't like that. Jose Martinez, he had 1 line drive out. You got to be better than that. So, I mean, Tomas Nido, Patrick Mazeika, again, like this isn't the Mets' main lineup. Like, I don't think Jose Martinez is making this team. That's just me. He needs to have a great spring training in order to make this squad because, again, with Kevin Pillar, I just don't really see much of a value for having Jose Martinez. There were a few hits. That was nice. It would be nice to get some runs. You should follow NYM Country on Instagram. I'll check it out. I mean, did they have the game as well? Because I was able to find it, like I said, on Marlins live stream that, again, the camera angle was brutal, but at least I was able to watch it. So that was pretty good. It was a 7-inning game. I found that interesting that they are going to do 7-inning games. They even proposed the idea of maybe 5-inning games during spring training. So I find that very fascinating. And again, at least we'll see on SNY, hopefully a much better camera angle, a better broadcast to listen to, and really be able to get the full Mets experience. But at least they tried to show us the first Lindor at bat. And again, even though it was a routine ground out to the pitcher, at least we saw it. So, at least we got it. But you definitely would have liked a better result, no question about it. But I did like that Pete Alonso was willing to draw the walk in his first AB, not let his emotions get the best of him, willing to take his pitches. That's going to be massive for Pete Alonso this season. Seeing him be more of a complete hitter, not always swinging for the fences, be willing to take your walk. Because, again, with this Mets lineup, give these other guys an opportunity. Let Conforto and let Dom Smith drive you in. I like that JD Davis had a couple of hits. That was very nice to see because we know JD Davis being in all these trade rumors. You know, do you need Matt Chapman or Eugenio Suarez, Chris Bryant? Because let's say that JD Davis has a good season and maybe the bullpen isn't too good. Instead of focusing on Chris Bryant at the deadline, we could focus on more bullpen help. So I think that could be something very intriguing. Lindor did not have a good game, but Alonso, Nimmo, Pilar, and JD look good. Yes, I agree, Jose. And then the other thing for the Mets is that at least we saw a couple big prospects. We saw Ronnie Mauricio a little bit. We saw a little bit of Francisco Alvarez. We also saw Mark Vientos. So that's good to see. And we're going to see more of them as spring training progresses. Khalil Lee was also out there. He had to move the bat off his shoulders. Just took 3 pitches, strike 1, strike 2, strike 3. But I'm excited to see what these prospects could do in game action. Excuse me, Ronnie Mauricio, just from looking at the telecast, this guy looked massive. I know he's tall, but he just looks like a really big guy. So if he could get some power into that bat, oh my gosh, Ryan Mauricio could be intriguing being a switch hitter. I want to see Matt Allen. Yeah, we're definitely going to see Matt Allen later on. I'm very curious to see what he could do as well. And just what the rest of these pitchers could do because, again, that's going to be the most important thing about this spring training is since they didn't sign another major league reliever following the Seth Lugo injury, Riley Gilliam and Trevor Hildenberg and all these other guys, they're going to be fighting for those bullpen spots. And, like, there is an opening out there. So I want to see who gets it. Again, to me, I still think it's Sam McWilliams. So far, they like what they've seen in camp. Again, the way the Mets just pounced on him right away as soon as the offseason opened, I found that intriguing. Jacob Barnes is another guy you have got to look out for because with all the 40-man roster moves the Mets made, Jacob Barnes stayed on the team. So I imagine that they're going to give him a very fair chance to see what he could bring. And maybe he'll have a spot on this bullpen as well. So I'm definitely curious to see what those guys could do. What channel is the game? It's probably going to be on SNY tomorrow. But like I said, I just found it on some random Marlins live stream. We had to listen to the Marlins radio broadcast. But, you know, again, I'd be much more excited to see more of a normal broadcast. But, I mean, Brandon Nimmo, seeing him get 2 hits, that also was encouraging, having him bat leadoff. I mean, will this be what the Mets are looking at as far as the way they're going to construct the lineup? Will it be Nimmo, Lindor, Alonso? I'm not sure. I feel like you have to put Jeff McNeil somewhere in that top 3, maybe even Conforto in that top 3. So I am curious to see how they construct their lineups. What I found pretty fascinating is the way that Brandon Nimmo, in his second plate appearance, the Marlins played the pull shift on Brandon, and he tried to lay down a bunt. It went foul, but I just think the fact that if teams are going to put a shift on Brandon Nimmo, he is the guy that has the speed to where a bunt should be much more frequent from him because if he could get down a decent bunt, just in fair territory, very good chance he's going to be safe at first. They also played a bit of a pull shift on Lindor. It was slightly different because with Nimmo, there was no third baseman, and with Lindor, there was no shortstop. So I am curious to see how are teams going to play the Mets defensively? You know, how often are they going to shift? And what is going to be the Mets' approach? Are the Mets going to be more willing to go to the opposite field, drop down some bunts, or are they going to be going swinging for the fences? Because that is the way that baseball is kind of constructed right now. Everybody's looking to just knock it out of the park. So you do want to see if they're willing to change their approach because there's going to be a lot of things differently about this team. Even though there's a new owner, you have to remember just how much control Vincent, how much control Jeff Wilpon had on this team. Like, he was pretty much the owner and the GM. Now that Sandy has more power, now that Zach Scott has more input, and now that the Mets have a much more in-depth analytics system, I wonder how that's going to change the New York Mets approach. Thank you, Vincent. I appreciate that. I am the GOAT. I've tried the best I can. And again, just making it enjoyable for you guys, enjoyable for me, having a good experience on this channel. I love talking to you guys. And, you know, there's definitely going to be more live streams going forward in spring training and obviously during the regular season. I am kind of busy tomorrow, so I'm going to try my best to get maybe a quick live stream out after tomorrow's game since we'll all be able to fully see that. I want to get a much better idea of what the team is going to look like. If you could guess one breakout player on the Mets, who you think? That is a good question. I have to say, if there was one breakout player, I'm not sure if David Peterson would consider that, but I think if Joey Lucchesi, if they give him a shot, like even in the bullpen, I think Lucchesi has a chance because other than that, the rest of the lineup, we know who it's going to be. Like, it's not going to be a breakout player. We know those guys are good already. Also in the rotation, like, we know what Degrom and Carrasco and Stroman are. So if anybody's going to have a big impact out of nowhere, it would be somebody from the bullpen. So I think maybe somebody like Joey Lucchesi could have a breakout, whether starting or in the pen. We will we see play-to-play streams during the game or just reaction after games? That's something that I have to work on. Like the way my setup is right now, like my TV is over there, so it'd be kind of like a weird angle. But I'm going to try to get some kind of setup to where we could watch the game and have a live stream while it's going on. So I do have to fix my setup around. Don't worry, the Phillies lost 10-2 yesterday to Detroit because Bohm was the only starter. Yeah, I mean, the first spring training game, especially if it's, away game where they're not going to give you their full lineup, you can't overreact too much. Like for me, I didn't care so much about the win or loss. Like I said, the thing that I didn't like was just the bad base running, and I just didn't like the way they fielded that one play that went down the line, and Jose Martinez just took all day. And if you're somebody like Jose Martinez, you got to get to that ball. Like, again, you're playing for your major league life. So I just didn't like to see that. I like Nimmo as a center fielder. Here's my take why. He has speed, great on base percentage, and has the willing to play every day. I would rank him as a pretty good C-plus center fielder, and Vincent said both. Okay, so I think the thing with Brandon Nimmo is that they said that they're looking at his analytics and they want to put him at a different spot, like as far as where he's played in center field, and maybe that would get more out of him. Nimmo said that he is better coming onto a ball than going back, which I agree with. When you watch Brandon Nimmo, that definitely would be how you would evaluate him as far as a center fielder. He is better coming in than going back. So hopefully the way they construct the lineup and the kind of positioning that they do, again, with more analytics, maybe makes the defense play a little better. So I think that Nimmo, like his bat is going to make up for whatever he does or cannot do in center field. And again, late games, you could either have Alberts Almora or Kevin Pillar. I find it pretty fascinating that Kevin Pillar was in right field and Nimmo was in center field, not the other way around. And Nimmo, there was one play into right center field that Nimmo got to that Kevin Pillar didn't. So I think that definitely was pretty intriguing. What's up, Red Sox? Good to see you. When Syndergaard is back, I would feel like Syndergaard is probably going to be very early June, but I think that maybe late May, because it looks like Syndergaard's rehab is going very, very well because he's out there pretty much every day throwing gas. So it's good to see that Noah is pretty healthy. So I think he might even be back early in the June. I feel like knowing Syndergaard, he's not taking his time. Noah wants to get back out there. So I'm very excited to see when Noah does return. What's up, Colby? Peterson is great at locating, but Lucchesi is nasty. Yeah, I mean, the thing for me, I like the guy with location because nowadays we see so many guys that pitchers throw very hard, great movement, things like that. But if they don't get the batters out, if they fall behind in counts, they're not effective pitchers. And I just like that David Pearson, he had a better 2020 than Lucchesi. You don't overreact to 2020. He did it as a Met, did it as a rookie. So I'm very curious to see what Pearson could do. And like I said in my other video, that's going to be another battle at the number 5 spot between Lucchesi and David Peterson. Pillar can play great center field better than Nimmo. Not anymore. Kevin Pillar's defense has regressed so much that maybe his center field is slightly better than Brandon Nimmo, but we'll see. I imagine he will get a shot, so we'll get a better take of where he is defensively. I think Albert Almora is going to be the guy who's going to play better center field defense than Brandon Nimmo. He's not going to be amazing out there, but it will be an improvement. I'll take Lucchesi because he was also a top prospect while Pearson wasn't. Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. I mean, Jacob Degrom wasn't a top prospect and became really good. And not every big prospect, always turns out well. We know that, especially as Met fans. So Pookie did pretty good. Yeah, I mean, as long as you throw up a 0, you're good in my book. He didn't get into any big-time counts like Betances and Familia, just throwing the ball over the place. So I'm glad that Pookie was able to be pretty good. Noah is out 60 games for sure, which is already a late April, and I'm guessing he goes to Myers from there to get some work in. Yeah, that would make sense because they put him on the 60-day IL, and you want to get your arm built up. You want to get into game action, which is what's going to happen with Seth Lugo too. Like Seth Lugo, he can't throw for a few weeks, and then he has to get into game action as well. So that's the one thing that scares me. How are they going to get through April and some parts of May with no Seth Lugo in the bullpen? And that's what this spring training is going to be all about, finding ways to piece together your bullpen. I kind of want Pearson, but we'll see throughout spring training. When is Lugo back? Like I said, I think it's probably early May, hopefully early May. I don't want it to be mid-May or later. That definitely would be a problem because Lugo is just so important to this team. And he is their only insurance policy in case Edwin Diaz goes back to 2019 Diaz. So he is like our one backup option that we have at closer. I hope we pinch hit Bryce to walk it off. Most likely won't. Yeah, if it's not a home game for the Phillies, I doubt Bryce is even going to play. They'll probably just rest him, which makes sense. I mean, in these spring training games, you don't want to see anybody get hurt. No reason to push it. Don't be diving out there in the outfield. Don't do anything crazy. Just get your reps in, get ready for the season, and just don't do anything stupid. That would be my approach to any spring training game when it comes to my team. So I just don't want to see the Mets do anything dumb. But, I mean, it was just good to see. There was another play that Lindor had up the middle at shortstop where he robbed the hit. That was good to see. Who is our backup catcher? As of right now, it's Tomas Nido. I mean, Patrick Mazeika, they had him DH a little bit today. They also had Bruce Maxwell catch a little bit today. They brought in Caleb Joseph last week. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of different catchers out there, but it's going to be McCann and Nido for this year. Lugo needs to have some at-bats, so yeah, I'm on late May for him. We do have Trevor. Yeah, I mean, Trevor will get you the 8th inning, but, I mean, what else are you going to do before that? That's what I'm more concerned about. Mets fans, only thank you. Thoughts on Phillies? Interested in Odorizzi? Odorizzi would be a nice get for the Phillies because they definitely do need some more starting rotation help. So the Phillies should be all over that. I mean, they've spent plenty of money this offseason already, getting Real Muto, bringing back Didi Gregorius, so they should really try to get Odorizzi depending on the price. How do you feel about Alvarez's at bat? I mean, he just hit a little weak ground ball, so that was unfortunate. But, so did Francisco Lindor, so I can't kill my man Alvarez. I feel so highly about him. I'm not going to overreact. If the Mets were to do bad, I think it would be because of bullpen or injuries. Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, the Mets, if they struggle, it's going to be because of the bullpen and it was injuries, especially in the starting rotation, because I do think that this lineup is going to be pretty good. Backup catcher to McCann, again, is Tomas Nido. When Noah gets back, our rotation will be so good. Yeah, I'm really excited. The guy that I'm excited about is Carlos Carrasco. I want to see what Carrasco could do because for his career, his numbers are really good, and he could be the number 2 behind Degrom if Marcus Stroman does not live up to it. Most underrated player on the Mets, honestly, I think it's somebody like Brandon Nimmo. There are a lot of people that are like, oh, let's trade Brandon Nimmo. Let's trade Brandon Nimmo. This guy is an elite on-base percentage person, gives you pretty good speed. He can hit for some power. He can hit for some average. Good defense in left field. So I think that Brandon Nimmo doesn't get enough love because a lot of people were quick to trade him. And you could probably say the same thing for J.D. Davis. So many people are like, oh, let's get rid of J.D. But J.D. is a solid player. Like, people forget how good he was in 2019. And he was pretty good at the start of 2020. He wasn't doing good as the year progressed, but I think we're going to see a big year at J.D. Davis. J.D. is going to be very motivated to say, wait a minute, you don't want me to be the starting third baseman? Watch this. I will prove it. So, and the other thing that I absolutely love about Francisco Lindor that I've seen was the video of him and Jeff McNeil at second base where Lindor was kind of coaching McNeil. Then a couple days later, you see Lindor coaching J.D. Davis over at third base. So I really like what I'm seeing from Lindor. And he's doing this without the extension yet, without being told to. Lindor is taking it upon himself to teach these young guys, and I just absolutely love that. And I'm glad that Sandy also said today we're looking at trying to extend Lindor. Obviously, we're talking to Michael Conforto and potentially even Noah Syndergaard. That's very exciting. Top priority for the Mets right now is to make sure you maintain that young core. Get these guys re-signed. Degrom, Carrasco, Thor, Marcus unknown. Isn't that unknown going to be Taijuan Walker or David Peterson? I mean, let's not forget this team also had Taijuan Walker, who I'm extremely excited about. Nimmo gets on base. 1 out left. Phillies tied at 4. All right, let me know how that goes. If JD improves his defense, he'll be a great third baseman. I mean, he improved his defense last year, so I'm sure he'll get even better. Chip on shoulder, he's young. JD makes adjustments, and the ball game's over. Who won, Vincent? The Phillies or the Tigers? I've seen Nido live in Puerto Rico, and he's good at catcher. We know that when comparing Thor's numbers versus Wilson, yeah, actually Nido's very raised catcher. Let's hope 2020 rubs off in 2021. Yeah, I mean, the thing about Tomas Nido that I never liked is just his bat is too inconsistent. Like in 2020, very few play appearances, his bat was good. But other than that, for the most part, he's kind of an automatic out. So I do want to see Tomas Nido bat develop a little more. And as of right now, he's a backup catcher, so you don't have to worry about – oh, it's the O's? Oh, I guess yesterday was the Tigers. That's why I said unknown because any of them can grab, but I would love to see Taijuan. I really feel like it's going to be Taijuan Walker. Like, you don't sign Taijuan to a 2-year deal over $20 million with, a possible third year for him to be in the pen. Like, Walker is going to be in the rotation the entire season in my mind. That's what I think. I already talked about Odorizzi, Vincent. You asked me before. Taijuan will get it. Yeah, I think for sure. I'm excited to see what Walker could do. I mean, we talk about being healthy. Taijuan Walker in a healthy season, let's see what he could do. I'm very excited. Hopefully I make the varsity soccer team try to say, oh, good luck, Red Sox. I hope you make the team. If soccer's your thing, go for it, man. I was never a great soccer player. I'm not going to be a great soccer player, so I can't really speak too much about it. But I definitely wish you luck, my man. Taijuan started, no doubt. Yes, I agree. I mean, that was such a very nice signing very late in the offseason just to get one more starting pitcher just in case. Like I said, we don't know what Stroman's going to be like. We definitely don't know exactly how Noah's going to do at first. How is David Pearson going to be in his second year? So I think it was very nice insurance to have Taijuan Walker. And even going forward next year, like Taijuan Walker is going to be a part of the rotation. So that wasn't just a this year thing. That was also a next year thing. And who knows? If he's good these first 2 years, maybe you try to keep him long term. We don't know because he's still young. That's what I always liked about Taijuan Walker. He is still young. Mets lineup is too good for the Mets to Met, but they could. I mean, it always is possible, but I do like what the lineup has to offer, especially offensively. Defensively is going to be another story, and I do hope that the base running improves. Like, I don't want to see these guys make outs on the bases that much. They definitely have got to be smarter there. And the guy that I'm really looking at is Jonathan Villar, because Villar is someone I'm really excited about, but the fact that he had 2 weak groundouts, I didn't love that. How's it going? I mean, it would have been going better if the Mets had won the first game, but it's only the first spring training game, so not going to overreact. But it's going good. You know, we got 20 people in here talking to all you guys. Wilson Ramos hit a deep home run today. Of course he did. You know Ramos is raking for the Tigers. Like, we know for a fact. Take it to the bank. Ramos is having a great year with the Tigers this season, especially offensively. I know for sure. Mauricio Davis, Beatty for Matt Chapman at trade deadline. I'm not getting rid of Mauricio and Beatty. It would have to be one or the other. I can't do both. Showing a walk here, so he's motivated. If Giolito had McCann as a personal catcher, that is impressive. So having him should help our rotation. That's a good point. Was it a split squad? I don't think so. I think the Mets just had the one game today. Double play Ramos. Yeah, ground ball to the left side Ramos. JT as a psycho, he's still catching bullpens even with the small fracture. Yeah, Realmuto's a very tough guy. So, I mean, I don't think this thumb thing is going to keep him out long, but it's just not a good start where you give this guy over $100 million and right away, boom, an injury. Ramos putting some work. He looks there. I'm pretty sure. You got to go, YouTube, man. All right, thanks for stopping there. I appreciate it. Ramos did lose some weight, which, I mean, he probably needed to do because we saw behind the plate. He wasn't moving around too well, so Ramos got to move a little better. Mauricio is a Pookie Vientos Davis for Chapman. Mauricio Vientos. I would do it. I would do it. How did Lindor do? I mean, he had the one ground out to short. I mean, even his second plate appearance, he didn't get a hit either. But he did play some pretty nice defense at shortstop, which is definitely going to be another upgrade for this team. Like, that's another way J.D. Davis is going to improve at third, is having Lindor next to him. Frankie's going to make a lot of big-time plays, so I'm excited about that. What was Nimmo thinking getting thrown after that single at first? I don't know. I think Nimmo definitely got it way too excited. He's like, oh, let me go for 2. Like, I just think knowing Nimmo, how happy of a guy he is, he got so excited and his brain probably just like froze and he was out. So that was unfortunate. Mets would have definitely won today if they had the regular guys out there, but I mean, a spring training. Yeah, I mean, win or loss doesn't really matter too much, but I agree that if you had Conforto out there, you had McNeil, Dom Smith, and you had like more of your major league pitchers, it's more of an interesting game because the Marlins, for the most part, they had a lot of their starters. And one of the big standouts for the Marlins was Isan Diaz. Every time the Mets hit a ball on the ground, Isan Diaz was diving and getting to all these balls and getting guys out. So that might be a thing going forward in the season where the Mets are getting robbed of a ton of hits courtesy of Isan Diaz. Davis, Beatty's a Pookie for Angel Suarez. Sign me up. Let's get it done, Michael. I mean, as much as I like JD, like I would really, really love Matt Chapman, and I'd be good with Eugenio Suarez as well. JT is too athletic to decline. Was a shortstop in the draft and ran for 1,000 yards. JT is extremely athletic, so that's a very good point. They lost, but at least they did their best since they have a pitcher that won't be in their rotation. Yeah, I mean, Gonzalez, he threw a scoreless inning, so give him credit for that. Braves or Mets win the division. As of right now, I still have the Braves. I think the Mets, one of the things they really, really, really should consider is signing Shane Green. Like, I think that would be something to do because the Braves know they lost Mark Melancon and they lost Darren O'Day. So if you could take Shane Green away from the Braves, hurt their bullpen a little bit. Yes, they have Will Smith, but I think that Shane Green should be someone the Mets should really be looking at. If he's not looking for too much money, you have opening in your bullpen. Why not? You know, I mean, that's just the way I'm looking at it. Who allowed the 2 runs to Marlins? Riley Gilliam, and he's someone that a couple of writers were talking about as a guy to look out for in spring training. Only his first outing, so Gilliam definitely has got to be better for the rest of this spring training. Diaz looks good for the Marlins. Being for PR, I'm rooting for the kid. Yeah, I agree. I mean, being Puerto Rican, I root for Isan Diaz too. He reminds me of like a lefty Javi Baez. Just something about him, the way he swings, the way he plays second base. He just reminds me of like a young lefty Javi Baez since they're both PR. But yeah, Isan Diaz, hopefully his bat isn't that good because that would be a problem for the Mets. But, you know, Jesus Aguilar hit that bomb against Gilliam. I mean, that was way gone. Starling Marte, his legs looked really good on that triple. That was an excellent trade that the Marlins made at the deadline last year. Acquiring Marte, someone that the Mets could have gotten a couple of years ago, but they never did. And they're still looking for another center fielder. So that definitely is unfortunate because when Marte hit that triple, he looked really good. Who will start tomorrow? Jordan Yamamoto. Speaking of the Marlins, the Mets acquired him with the trade with Miami. So we'll see what Yamamoto brings to the table. I imagine he's going to start the year in the minor leagues, but you never know. I mean, if Yamamoto pitches significantly better than Lucchesi, if he somehow pitches better than David Pearson, Yamamoto could make the rotation because you could put Lucchesi and or David Pearson in the minor league. So we'll see what Yamamoto brings to the table tomorrow. The Phillies might be better than the Nats, have way too many question marks, only one guy under 31 in the rotation. But the thing is that Strasburg and Scherzer and Corbin are still very good. John Lester will be okay. I like adding Josh Bell and Kyle Schwarber. I mean, Trey Turner and Juan Soto are pain in the necks. We'll see what Carter Kieboom develops. You have Victor Robles. I mean, the Nationals are still going to be very, very good. You added Brad Hand, added Jeremy Jeffries. So I think the Nats could finish higher than the Phillies. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. So am I. I definitely want to see more of the real Mets out there and get a much better indication of where this team is at. And with a much better camera angle, because it was so hard for me to really evaluate the pitchers because I could barely see where the ball was going. So that was unfortunate. And, man, I would give anything to really be in Florida at that game right now. And you know what? If there was no pandemic going on, I promise you I would have been there in Florida watching that game. Bauer will be booed, and I'll be there and record it. Oh, yeah, definitely send me that, Mars, when you get the chance to record it. And Bauer's got to get booed. I mean, just the whole way everything happened. Then he's on Twitter arguing with Syndergaard. Then he's on Twitter arguing with Stroman. And you guys know I wanted Bauer. And I was under the impression that Bauer was going to behave a little more on social media. That was a lie. I mean, the way Bauer has been acting on social media and the season hasn't even started yet, oh my gosh. And you know that if Bauer didn't pitch well with the Mets, all of us would have been tweeting him like, oh, Bauer, you stink. You took all our money. You're overrated, blah, blah, blah. You're racist, all of this stuff. And Bauer would have been mad at the Met fans, and the media would have been mad at Bauer. And, like, it just would have been this whole crazy situation. So I guess things worked out for the better maybe. Bauer pitched for the Dodgers in spring training. How did Bauer do, guys? Did anyone see Trevor Bauer pitch? Because I was, like, completely locked in on the Mets today. Were there fans in the stadium? There were some fans in the stadium. And what was interesting was that they had a Let's Go Mets chant later on in the game once the Mets had a couple runners on base. And I heard some guy saying, go home, Mets. So that definitely was interesting. I like that the fans were spread out. And it was just good to see fans at a baseball game, at a Mets game, even though it was spring training. That definitely was pretty cool. I know, but I'm saying it could go either way. Yeah, the Nationals could have a bad year, but I think for the most part, the Nationals will be pretty good. I mean, that's just the way I think. I'm pretty high on the Nats. Scores first thing for Bauer. I mean, who are the Dodgers playing today? I mean, was he even playing that great of a lineup? And again, I mean, the true evaluation of Trevor Bauer is going to be once the Dodgers are in the playoffs. Is Bauer going to lead them to another World Series? I mean, that's why you pay the guy over $40 million if you're the Dodgers. It's in order to get another World Series ring. What he does in the regular season is kind of pointless because you know the Dodgers are going to the playoffs. So they're more concerned about the postseason. All right, so Bauer's still pitching. That definitely will be something to keep an eye on. So all you guys that are watching, definitely be sure to let me know how Trevor's looking. So, I mean, he's someone we're going to be watching going forward. We're going to be watching Muto closely. We're going to be watching George Springer closely. We're going to be watching Chris Bryant closely, Brad Hand, all these guys that the Mets were in on and weren't able to obtain. We're going to be able to find out, in hindsight, is 2020, who should you have gone after, who you dodged the bullet with, things like that. No way I'm giving up a top prospect for Bryant, his 80-game rental. I mean, you always could extend him the qualifying offer and get the compensatory draft pick back or eventually resign him. One quote that was extremely interesting from Sandy Alston today that I didn't see a lot of people talk about was that Sandy Alston said that even at some point, Steve Cohen runs out of money. That was interesting. That was very, very interesting because that goes to show you that the Mets aren't going to go too crazy, which we kind of knew. But the fact that Sandy Alston came out and said it, that like eventually Steve Cohen runs out of money, that lets you know that he said that had the Mets gotten Springer, they might not have been able to keep Conforto. So that just doesn't really match up well when you think of the fact that they went way over the tax to get Trevor Bauer, to try to get Trevor Bauer. I just don't know if that really matches too well. What else we got? I am 13, a Yankees fan, but my family are Met fans, so I'll go to Mets games more often. That's what's up, Mars. Yeah, definitely got you there. Watch out for the Phillies rotation in the future. Zach Eflin took big steps last year, and we'll have a ton of pitching process like Spencer Howard and Mark Abel. Yeah, no, that's true. You still have Nola, still have Wheeler, but yeah, we'll see what those other guys could do like Eflin and Spencer Howard. That definitely is going to be pretty interesting for Philadelphia. I still think they could use probably more proven guys. It is tough when you rely on all these younger guys to really be big-time contributors. You have to go Mars game? All right, thanks for checking in. But, to rely on these young pitchers, that's what the Mets are doing with the bullpen right now. Like, they're going to rely on the Drew Smith, on maybe the Sam McWilliams or some of these other guys to really step in and be on the major league level. And for me, I always lean towards the major league guys. I'm not big on always going to the minor league players, but And there's going to be plenty of teams like the Phillies. They're looking at guys from the minor leagues to really step up for them. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I am curious to see, like, what is going to happen with the remaining of these free agents. Like, where is Jake Odorizzi going to go? Where is Jackie Bradley Jr. going to go? Where is Shane Green going to go? And there's still plenty of other players that are still unsigned. So, I mean, even the Mets want to get David Robertson. Like, I'm willing to take a chance on him. If it's a very low number in the contract, why not? You got to do something else for that bullpen. If we get Bryant, he wants $200 million. We have Conforto, Lindor, and Syndergaard. I mean, yeah, that's true. Fernando, it's also good that their players that you wanted are the ones with the hits, Nimmo and JD. Yeah, that's very true. I'm glad to see that Nimmo and JD both played well, because those are two guys that people want to trade, and I'm definitely willing to give them a chance. I love both of them, so I'm glad to see that in their very first game they played well. What's with the Braves' money situation? I mean, the thing about the Braves is that they haven't spent like that much money. Like, they're lucky that contracts they gave to Acuna and Albies were so reasonable. They didn't spend a lot of money. I mean, they gave a nice contract to Ozuna, but outside of that, I mean, who else are they really going to give that much money to? So I think the Braves cap situation is perfectly fine right now. Are you worried about Lindor resign? No, I fully expect that Francisco Lindor will be resigned by New York Mets. I think you're getting all the signs. Like, Francisco Lindor doesn't wear the Mets jacket if he does not want to be a Met, and we want him here. Sandy Alston does not trade Jimenez and Rosario, not with the intention of fully re-sign Francisco Lindor. Like, Lindor will definitely be re-signed. I'm fully confident that's going to happen. Yo, what's up, my G? Rooting for you. Thank you, Shay. I appreciate that. I'm just back from watching Lindor's video at SNY. He made good contact left field on a second at bat. He also covers great play. Yeah, he had that play up the middle that, like I mentioned before, Lindor had a very nice play going up the middle. I like to see. Braves have stolen talent. Yes. I mean, poor Acuna and Ozzy Albies. Looking at what Fernando Tatis got, I mean, Acuna and Albies got robbed, which is why I said at the time, when the Braves gave those contracts to Acuna and Albies, the Mets should have done the same for Alonso and Jeff McNeil. They could have got away with bargains of contracts, but of course, the previous ownership, that wasn't going to happen. I would do Beatty, Mauricio, Davis for Chapman. There was no place for them to play. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that's going to happen. That, like, let's say that you were to make it. I mean, just even now, you re-sign Francisco Lindor. Let's say it's for 8 years. What are you going to do with Mauricio, Beatty, and Mark Vientos? That's what I want to know. I mean, you're going to have 3 guys that could be third baseman. You're going to have 1 third baseman. So, I mean, what are you going to do with all 3 of those prospects? I'm just very curious to see how that plays out going forward. So, I think that's going to be interesting, because we're also going to move these guys. Like, Lindor's at short. One of those guys is at third. McNeil's at second. Alonso's at first. We know the outfield is crowded. Trade them. I agree, Michael. I mean, what else are you going to do? Like, that's what needs to happen for the Mets right now, is let's let the season play out. Let's see who's playing well, who's not playing well. You know, what other areas do we need? And once we know our needs and our weaknesses, then we can start talking about, do we want to unload some of these prospects? What players do we really want to go after? You trade those prospects. Yeah, I mean, that's where you got to do. You can't have 3 third basemen. You know, that's just something that doesn't make a lot of sense. And I think, you know, something very interesting about Jackie Bradley Jr. was there was so much talk about the DH really impacting guys like Marcell Ozuna and Nelson Cruz, 2 guys who are not good defenders. How about the guy who's probably the best defender on the market, and Jackie Bradley Jr.? The DH affected him, because if there was a DH, there was a pretty good chance that the New York Mets would have tried to have signed Jackie Bradley. So I find that very fascinating, that because of that, since we still don't know if there's a DH, Jackie Bradley Jr. remains unsigned. Bold take, Alonso gets 55-plus home runs. I don't see 55. I definitely could see over 40, but over 55 is going to be pretty difficult to do. But I definitely wish the best for Alonso. I am glad to see that Alonso deactivated social media, because sometimes I think Alonso does get a little caught up on the social media and the YouTube compared to actually focusing on the major leagues and focus on playing. So I do want to see Alonso have full intentions, not try to overdo it, and just be the good player that he is capable of being. I think the Mets like Mauricio a lot. They kept him and Trey Mancini. I agree with that, Michael. I think the Mets definitely feel very highly about Mauricio. The fact that they, like you said, maintained him and got rid of those other guys. I would do a front-loaded contract for Lindor, 40 AV first 3 years, and opt-out 30 AV next 3 years, and another opt-out and 2 to 4 years with 20 AV with incentives. Yeah, I mean, that definitely could be something that they could consider. I wonder if maybe you backload it, because as of right now, the Mets are right up against the tax if they were to give Francisco Lindor the new contract, to have it take into effect this year. And if you give Michael Conforto a raise, if you give Noah Syndergaard a raise, Robinson Cano's contract coming back next year, the Mets are going to be at a really tough spot salary cap-wise. We may get Odorizzi, but I can see us cashing at the deadline, because we have the ability to go over the luxury tax slightly. I mean, yeah, are the Phillies really going to go all out? That definitely would be interesting. How much money are they going to spend? Bold take number 2, Diaz becomes best closer again. I hope so. I definitely hope that Mariano Diaz could get it done. William, it's my birthday day. Happy birthday, William. Everybody tell William happy birthday. So I don't know how old you are, but definitely happy birthday. My birthday is not until September, so we definitely have a while to go before that. And I don't even know if the Mets are playing on September 5th. I hope they do, because so far the times the Mets have played on September 5th, they've won every time. So that definitely has been pretty good. I'll never forget one time my birthday, that was the game where the Mets played the Marlins and Bartolo did that behind the back play to first base. And it was on my birthday. I was just so excited. I was like, let's go, Bartolo. Oh, you're 18. That's what's up, William. Welcome to the adult world. Lindor is in the CBA chair, so he will make sure the luxury tax gets blown for the next agreement. That's a good point. Lindor does have a really high role with the player rep, so that's a good point, Jose. And yeah, it was curious to hear Lindor's take on analytics. I found that very fascinating, because Francisco Lindor was like, you can't let the analytics run the game, which is something I completely agree with. Don't let it really control that much of baseball. So we'll see how that impacts Francisco Lindor. And I am just so curious to see what that next CBA is going to be like, because it is going to be a big time argument. The reputation and just the relationship between the players and agents have gotten worse and worse and worse. So it's going to be interesting. You're a Nationals fan. I mean, listen, we got Phillies fans here. We got Nationals fans here. I think it's cool, the fact that we root for rival teams but still can have meaningful conversations and just get along. I think that's great. Is Lindor going to have a good season? Also, do you remember I was sub when you were at 43? Yeah, I mean, I definitely remember the people that were here a long time. I think Lindor is going to have a very good season. I don't know about MVP caliber, but he's going to be very good. Bold take, Syndergaard is a runner for Cy Young. I don't think Noah Syndergaard is going to get the innings in order to pull it off. That's the problem, because since he's not coming back till June, I just don't think he'll get the innings to qualify. I'm happy they got Josh Bell. Yeah, that was a very nice trade for the Nationals. And not only Lindor, but 2 other players from NY, and being big market teams have 3 players from the same city will have an impact. Yeah, that's true. I mean, you have to consider the Yankees with Garrett Cole. Maybe Bryant for Davis and Vientos. I mean, the fact that the Cubs have been asking for Francisco Alvarez, I mean, the Mets would probably have to increase the price a lot, or the Cubs have to come significantly down from their price. I'm a Phillies fan. William, Mets are my 3rd favorite. Oh, wow, that's interesting. Yo, what's up, Paul Turner? Oh, I know you're always in my comments. If Era bought the team, we would have won. I don't agree with that. Who will win the league, Mets or Braves, and rate the Mets and Yankees 1 to 10? I think the Braves, I don't know. I just really like the Braves rotation. That's the thing that stands out to me, that like Ian Anderson and Max Fried, they looked so good in the postseason. And I'm high on Charlie Morton when it matters most in the postseason. And I feel like Mike Soroka is a guy that could be an absolute ace. So I think that the Braves rotation is going to be so good that they're very tough to beat. And we know what that lineup could do. But the Mets, how do I rate them on a scale of 1 to 10? I would say as of right now, they're 8. And I would say maybe the Yankees are like a 9, because I just don't know what their rotation is right now. Let's see. Maybe Bryant for Davis Vientos. Bold take number 4, Nimmo gets most walks in the league. That definitely is very possible. Brandon Nimmo draws so many walks. I can see that happening. Cole and Bryn are in CBA chairs. They will also push for a change in luxury tax. Yeah, I mean, I feel like everybody's going to want to change the luxury tax, because if there's no luxury tax, salaries are going to go up even more. And salaries keep increasing as it is. Just look at what Bauer got. But that's going to be very interesting to see how, these salaries work out. Nimmo will take the most based on him by pitch for sure. That too, yes. He definitely takes a lot of pitches. Nationals trying to lock up Juan Soto. How much would you sign Juan Soto for? I will give Juan Soto whatever the F he wants. Like, Juan Soto is that freaking good. I hate playing against him. So I give him a contract like Tatis, maybe even more. So I definitely want to give Juan Soto whatever he wants. Lindor looks so happy. Yeah, I mean, him and Brandon Nimmo, they're going to battle for Mr. Smile. And I'm glad, that was good. Like, we're happy to have Lindor here, and I'm glad Lindor's happy to be here. That makes it a lot easier to re-sign this guy. The fact that he likes what he sees with the Mets, wants to be a Met, because that's not always a guarantee. Brad Hand did not want to be with the Mets. J.T. Realmuto did not want to be with the Mets. So we'll see how it goes. Let's see. Mars gave me the back. Let's go. What's up, Mars? Shay, bold take 5. McNeil gets most hits in the league. He'll be in the running. I don't know if we'll get most hits. How much will Lindor and Conforto get? I saw somewhere that some people be willing to give Conforto $200 million. I don't know if I do that. If I'm going to give Conforto $200 million, I got to let him play the full 162. He was amazing in 2020. Don't get me wrong. It was a 2-month season. So if Conforto can give me another year like that in 2021, he can have whatever he wants. But I need to see him the full 162, because we know Conforto has been pretty inconsistent. So we'll get paid $300 plus for sure. Oh, yeah, definitely. Nets signed Soto 15 years, $395 million. Yeah, that's possible, Michael. I can see it happening. Juan Soto's going to get a crazy contract, and he definitely deserves it. I mean, that's just how good he is, and he's going to be so much better. Are you better than me? Better at what? I'm not sure. Probably not. Conforto is at 18 to 22 million AV. Yeah, I mean, maybe a little more. I'd be willing to go maybe like 25. That's about it. Bohm gets 30 plus. Bohm's, he's changed his swing and got muscle, and the Phillies players are saying he really had. Yeah, Alec Bohm is really good. Definitely am not looking forward to facing him. He's a very good young player. Bolte 6, DeGrom throws for a 4.68 ERA. I hope you mean 1.68 ERA, because if DeGrom's ERA is over 4, Mets have no shot this year. Was Lindor ever a Mets fan? I mean, I doubt it. Growing up in PR, was he watching the Mets? Maybe. I mean, the Mets have had some pretty good Puerto Rican players over the history, guys like Beltran. I mean, Roberto Alomar was a Met for a little bit, but Delgado was a Met as well. So, I mean, maybe Lindor liked the Mets growing up. I'm not sure. Shea, blue cap. Yeah. Shea was definitely capping with that DeGrom 4.68 ERA. No way. I think he meant 1. He had to have meant 1, because DeGrom having a 1.68 ERA, I could see that. 4.68, I don't see that happening. I think DeGrom is much better. And I think DeGrom's winning another Cy Young this year. I've said that before. I'm going to say it again. DeGrom in the full 162-game season is winning another Cy Young. He is that freaking good. And he's just – and the thing about DeGrom that amazes me is that even at his advanced age, this guy is still just throwing heat. Velocity is going up in his 30s. Like, how do you do that? I mean, Jacob DeGrom he's unreal. There are no other players like DeGrom where you're in your 30s or whatever, and you're just getting better. Hi, everyone. Pitchers ahead of hitters early in spring training. Hitters need to get a rhythm. That's very true, Mr. Mojo. I mean, the pitchers definitely start off ahead of the hitters. That's a good point. Carlos Carrasco will be a great pitcher. Will have a 2.32 ERA. I can see Carrasco having an ERA slightly under 3. I don't know about low 2s, but I'm super excited to see Carrasco. Stroman wins the Cy Young. I think Stroman's going to have a big year. I don't know about Cy Young caliber. Conforto's getting paid $12 million on his last of arbitration, and he is not worth more than Springer, who got 25. Well, he's younger than Springer, so, I mean, you could give him something similar. It all depends on the years, because, I mean, if you give Conforto maybe like 8 years, maybe you could get better AAV, but we'll see. You pronounce it Shy? Oh, my bad. You know why I was Shy? I was thinking of Shea Gilgeous-Alexander from Oklahoma City. His name's spelled the same way, so I said Shay. If it's Shy, I'll call you Shy. Shy, what's up? DeGrom, Cy Young, and Noah, I guess front is a guy in there too. If he could do good and have another good season, yeah, I feel like Noah might be pretty good, because you have to remember that even though Noah is coming off of the Tommy John, he's also on a contract year. So Noah Syndergaard is going to be very motivated to show that he still has big-time value, because let's say that Noah Syndergaard was a free agent at the end of 2016. This guy could have got a ridiculous contract. So he wants to prove that he still has that value. Try hitting Nola's curveball. Yeah, Nola's curveball is freaking nasty. Carrasco is underrated, solid number 2 starter. I agree. Bauer's inconsistent. He's had good years and down years. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, the GOAT. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is a very exciting young player. That's someone that if the Knicks, I mean, they're not going to be able to even trade from Oklahoma City's keeping him. So that was a good trade Oklahoma City made. I mean, getting Shea back for Paul George and getting Danilo Gallinari, which also led to some more good young pieces. But we'll talk about baseball today. Mets could trade for Hector Neris. I don't think the Phillies are looking to get rid of Neris. Vincent, you could let me know. Do you think that would happen? You think the Phillies would be willing to trade Hector Neris? The thing about Neris is he's a guy that's kind of like Familia and Betances, where you don't know which Hector Neris you're getting. Like, his ball will go all over the place. So he's someone that, like, I don't want more pitchers like that. I don't want another guy like Betances or Familia where their control is all over the place. I want guys like Lugo who have good command coming out of the bullpen, that you could bring them in with runners on base, not have to worry about them walking him, not worrying about them hit the batter, not worry about throwing to the backstop. Like, one of my least favorite Met games this season was when Dylan Betances threw that ball to the backstop against the Yankees. I was screaming when that happened. I was so mad when that happened. I hope Dodgers waste their money on Bauer. I hope so too. One player Mets will have 100 RBIs, maybe 2. That could happen. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is a stud. I agree. Syndergaard and Bauer fight in the middle of the field. I think maybe in a non-COVID year, I guess it could happen. There definitely will be some arguments, and that's going to be another interesting thing. The fact that there is no DH. Will the Mets throw inside of Bauer? Let's say that Syndergaard is on the mound. Trevor Bauer is at the plate. What happens? I would love to know what's going to happen there. I'll just be so exciting. Mets ceilings this year, I would say Mets could win the World Series. Agree. I think the Mets ceiling is they make it to the NLCS. I just don't see them beating the Dodgers. I really don't see it happening. Knicks are in a rebuild unit like the Nets. Unlike the Nets, yeah, the Knicks are looking very good, though. I have to say, I was watching the Knicks game last night against Detroit. I know they're playing Detroit, but it was very exciting. Knicks are looking so much better. I'm very, very excited to see how the Knicks keep playing. I think Khalil Lee's going to be a beast. Yeah, Khalil Lee definitely has the ability because, we saw his speed. But the thing about Khalil Lee today, he took those 3 pitches, then moved the bat from his shoulder, struck out. So we'll see how Khalil Lee develops. I'm very excited to get him. That was another just amazing move the Mets made this offseason. Getting rid of Josh Wicknowski and players to be named later and getting a top 10 prospect like Khalil Lee, that was an amazing, amazing move the Mets made. He gets clipped. Mets can trade for Chris Bryant. Maybe they. Do you think Bauer gets hit, Ernie? That'd be pretty interesting. Curious to see how minor league options determine number 5 starter, bullpen, and bench spots. Yeah, Mr. Mojo, that's definitely going to be taken into consideration because, like I said before, do you put Peterson in the minors? Do you put Lucchesi in the minors? Do you put Yamamoto in the minors? Maybe Albert Almora? Like, the Mets definitely have some things they could consider. Let's see what else we have. There will be some Mets and Dodgers drama and probably will record some benches clear. There might be. That'd be pretty funny. This team may be better than 2015. It depends on how the rotation does because that 2015 rotation was just so good. If Syndergaard comes back in his 2015 Syndergaard and Stroman has a good year and Carrasco's looking good, we might be pretty close to 2015 because our offense is a lot better. Bullpen might be better. What else do we have? How do you feel about McWilliams coming out of the pen? I'm going to give McWilliams a shot. I really want to see how he looks in spring training. I'm very excited to see McWilliams. Sixers are still better. Obviously the Sixers are better than the Knicks. They're the number 1 seed right now. How the Sixers do against Brooklyn in the playoffs? We'll see about that. Anyways, with no DH, you prefer 8 relievers and 5 bench guys or 7 and 6? I personally always will lean more pitchers because I think with the way the Mets bench should be set up right now, if it was me and I had the bench, I have VR, I have Pilar, I have Nito, I'll have Albert Almora and Luis Guillorme. That would be my 5 bench guys. Other than that, the rest I'm going pitching. Because since they don't have the DH, you still need another hitter off the bench like a Pilar. Maybe Lucchesi in the bullpen. That definitely could be something that could happen. Like if Lucchesi looks much better than like Drew Smith and McWilliams, these other guys in spring training, and David Pearson looks really well, I would not mind having Lucchesi in the pen. I think Lucchesi has such nasty stuff with that curve. He could be a reliever. And he's left-handed, which the Mets could use another lefty in the pen, only having Aaron Loop. Who else do we have? Why wouldn't Peterson start? The only reason Pearson wouldn't start is if Lucchesi or Yamamoto outperformed him, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think David Pearson is going to be in the starting rotation. They didn't even have enough money to extend someone, right? They kind of do because the Mets are like close to $15 million under the tax. So Lindor this year is getting paid $22 million. Depending on the AAV, maybe they can extend Lindor, have the contract come into effect this season, but still stay under the tax. But we'll see though. Bolte, JD hits 30-plus home runs. JD hit over 20 shy, but I don't think over 30. Philly's big bullpen additions, Bradley, Nitzler, Watson, Alvarado, good moves. Those were all very good moves, especially since some of those were minor league contracts. Those guys are going to be like lockdown relievers, but the Phillies improved their bullpen, which they absolutely had to because their bullpen was so bad last year. What do you think about our first spring training game? Listen, I'm just excited to see the guys play. Hopefully they play better, like they win, score a run or two. That'd be pretty nice. But do we know the pitching schedule yet for who's going to pitch tomorrow? I'd like to know what other pitchers going to be out there. Because we know Yamamoto is going to start, but who's coming in after him? Like, Sharwin Foley pitched well. So I was excited to see that. Sharwin Foley is another guy I didn't even talk about. He has a shot. He has a shot at the bullpen as well because in his few games with the Blue Jays in 2020, he pitched well in the pen. So I'm going to give Sharwin Foley a shot. Where is Blevins? I know they signed him. No, Jerry Blevins is going to get some spring training outings. This was only the first game. And the Mets have 75 guys at camp. They have the maximum amount of people at spring training. So you're going to have so many guys play. Give Soto a 15-year deal. I agree with that. If Mets can get first, I hope they get second because they go for a wild card spot. I do not want the Mets in the wild card because then you face the Padres, and if you're going up against Blake Snell in a wild card game, that's going to be tough. The Padres are very, very good. You better pray that Degrom is rested and Degrom is pitching the wild card game. Francisco Alvarez grounded a double play, automatic bust. It was only his first at bat, so we'll see. But I just want to see if we have the schedule yet for tomorrow as far as what other pitchers are going to be out there because the Mets definitely used a whole lot of pitchers today. And hopefully tomorrow's game is 9 innings, not the 7-inning game that they had today. That definitely was pretty weird. And I'm not excited to see 7-inning doubleheaders this year because if you know me, I do not like 7-inning doubleheaders. I do not like runners starting the game, starting the extra innings at second base. Can Nationals offer Soto like Phillies offered Harper? I think the Nationals could probably go more years on Soto than Philadelphia did for Harper because Soto is younger. And it would also give them better AAV if it's more years. You don't want to be better at get first, have a good season. More on Harper. I bet Blevins is on the Major League roster. It all depends on how he is in spring training. Like if Blevins is really good again, he will be in spring training. But I don't know. I think Blevins is done personally. I think Blevins, he had his very good moments with the Mets. Don't get me wrong, but he's getting older now. He wasn't in the league in 2020. Wasn't that great with the Braves in 2019. So I don't see Blevins making this team. But we're willing to give him a shot because we still could use another lefty in that pen. Mets asked Yamamoto, haven't seen Fozzie. I haven't seen it yet either. Marlins want to do 7 innings because they're so cheeky and want to secure a win if they got the lead. I mean, maybe. In spring training, you don't want to overdo it. Like, you don't want to play 9 innings because that's the one thing about spring training is that as it progresses, you get more and more ready for the regular season. You're like, okay, I'm kind of done with spring training, seeing all these minor league guys play if it's not big-time prospects. And then eventually, these spring training games could drag on. When you're constantly changing pitchers and everything, you definitely want to see some of these games be short now. So I don't mind. It's a road game, 7 innings, terrible camera angle. I couldn't take much more than terrible camera angle. So, good night, my guy. Great content. Good night. It's only 4 in the afternoon. You might be in a different time zone, Shy, but I appreciate you commenting and watching. So thank you for watching. But, I mean, yeah, it definitely was weird, the 7 innings. And we'll see if they'll do any 5-inning games in spring. That definitely would be pretty weird, too. I hope that's not a thing going forward in the regular season either. But, the other element that we have to take into mind is just the fact that when some players get COVID, you hope that there's not a big outbreak. Like if certain players are missing 2 weeks at a time, that could be pretty bad in such a competitive division. Like it may come down to in this division, who is the most healthy? Is it the Braves? Is it the Nationals? Is it the Mets? Is it the Phillies, the Marlins? Who's going to be the most healthy? Because, you're from Israel? All right, my bad, Shy. All right, definitely is a different time zone over there. Imagine if my fellow Phillies fans saw me in Mets channels. I'm sub to, they kill me, but I love the team. I mean, yeah, that definitely is interesting. It's night in Israel. All right, well, then that's what's up. Good night, Shy. So, I mean, it's fun, having people from Israel checking in. That's awesome. Like the fact that I'm able to reach on Israel, that's great. And the Mets fans have a great channel like you, Frank. Thank you. I see you mentioned you've definitely appeared on Mets Weekly a couple of times. I noticed. So I definitely appreciate you checking me and all the other Met fans out. That's very nice of you. Trevor Bauer causes too much drama. This man arguing with Noah, Stroman, and Acuna. Yeah, I mean, that definitely is such a bad sign for Bauer. And it kind of makes him look like a liar because, Trevor Bauer was saying, I'm going to be better on social media. And, his first offseason gets this big contract and he's already arguing with people. A game hasn't been played yet. I mean, that definitely was not a good look for Bauer at all. So, I mean, I was like, wow. Maybe you guys were right about Bauer. Maybe I was wrong. Like, I really thought more of it. I really thought that Bauer had changed and maybe grown up a little bit, but obviously that has not happened yet. So I'm curious to see how it works out. And again, and I think one of the other main reasons why he went to the Dodgers over the Mets, and he won't say this, but he knows that there is way more pressure going to the Mets than there is with the Dodgers. Like New York fans will be all over you compared to LA. Like LA, you're just chilling. You won the championship. You'll probably win another one this year. But with the Mets, we're going to be all over you every time you don't perform. So I don't think he wanted all that pressure because he knows that he definitely cashed in over a very lucky 2-month season. Bauer is a cheater. I mean, yeah, Garrett Cole is kind of doing it too. So we'll see if they really enforce any sticky stuff as far as pitching is concerned. And one of the other huge elements of the way this season is going to play out is the dead ball. I mean, how much better is Edwin Diaz going to be if there's a dead ball and he's not serving up a bunch of home runs? Bauer's going to crash and burn, Joey. Yeah, it's possible. I live in southeastern PA, great place and great ballpark. Oh, that's what's up, Vincent. Bauer would face intense scrutiny in NY, Boston, Philadelphia media markets. Blessing in disguise. I agree. LA's so mild-mannered, nothing like NY. Yeah, I mean, LA, you got wonderful weather and everything. So you got Hollywood. So sports don't mean as much to you. Like in LA, you're kind of just chilling. But in New York, when it's cold and it's rainy and cloudy out right now, all we got is sports. We're just like, we root so hard for all of our teams, whether it's baseball, whether it's football, whether it's hockey, even in basketball when the teams are competitive. We really root for our teams. We care a lot. So, I mean, that's why we put so much pressure under our players. And we're smart, too. Like, all you guys are smart. The New York fans know a lot about their sports teams compared to some other states. I despise some Dodger fans. I mean, I had a little bit of interaction with the Dodger fans once Bauer signed, so it's kind of whatever. Instead of home runs, they're hitting the fence now. Hopefully he gets to turn around. Yeah, I definitely think that having the dead ball, Edwin Diaz will have a better year. And Edwin Diaz is probably going to be the X factor for the Mets, especially early on the season, since they didn't sign Brad Hand or Rosendahl, some of these other guys, and Lugo being hurt to start the year. I mean, Edwin Diaz is going to be extremely, extremely important to start off the season. Nationals give Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer is getting older. His contract is expiring pretty soon. So Scherzer is going to be pretty interesting. How is he going to bounce back from the injury? Like, will Scherzer still be Degrom level or will he regress a little bit? Because, the Nationals, they've really gotten a lot out of Scherzer and Strasburg. And I think something about Steven Strasburg is that you remember early in his career, he was very injury prone. And it's like, is Strasburg ever going to live up to the hype? Then the World Series year, he was very good, and then he got hurt in 2020. Do you think we can still get Green? I think so. I mean, I don't know what Shane Green is asking for, but I would be all over Shane Green right now. So I don't know what else they're looking for right now. You mentioned a good point about dead ball this season, line drive, fouling felons like McNeil and Guillorme could excel. That's a good point, and the Mets should try to take that into consideration. Like, don't swing for the fences again. Like, I mean, one thing I loved last year, maybe one of my favorite things about 2020, was how much Michael Conforto used the opposite field. What's up, Ryan? I see you. Hi, Ryan. But the way Michael Conforto did not swing for the fences, he shortened up his swing once the opposite field. That's why Conforto finally hit for over 300 average. I really hope that Conforto continues that next season. That's going to be so important. That would make him worth the big-time contract that you may want to offer him when it comes to giving him a contract extension. So we'll see how, with the new ownership, Sandy Olson back in charge, Olson Analytics, how that changes the Mets' approach. Like, are they going to be willing to go more to the opposite field? And if they are, like I said before, they shifted, are they going to bunt, things like that? LFGM, yeah, let's go, Ryan. Let's go, Mets. Let's get it done. Let's have a better day tomorrow than we did today. And again, even if the Mets don't win, I just want to see good fundamentals. I want to see the players playing well. I just want to know that, everybody's healthy. That's the main thing. Everybody has got to be healthy. Breaking, Shane Green signs my idea with Nats because of closer role. You made me choke, Vincent. Damn. I can't see it happen again with the Nationals. Oh, man. Anyways, with the Nationals already taking away Brand Hand and Jeremy Jeffries, don't do that to me, Vincent. Oh, good thing that didn't happen. Jesus Christ. Whew. Okay. Agree about Conforto. Chili Davis being back in person. Great point, Mr. Mojo. Great point. How will the Mets offense look with Chili Davis being back in the dugout? That is going to be huge. Mets will have a good season. Stop fretting. I didn't say the Mets have a bad season. Did I say the Mets have a bad season? I never said that. I killed you. Yeah, Vincent, you almost made me die live on stream choking on my – oh, don't do that to me, Vincent. Not cool. Bauer's pitches to NL Central. He knows NL East is whole different. That is very, very true. I mean, the National League East, I said, it is the most toughest division to play in. And National League Central is like maybe one of the easiest divisions to play in. So – I mean, Bauer's going to be facing a lot more stiff competition, and I want to see how Bauer does every time he faces that Padres lineup. Like, how is Machado and Tatis and these guys going to play against him? Not you, other people. Oh, okay. Mikey, yes. I hope I said your name right. I understand. No, I mean, there are people that are high on the Mets. There are people that are not high on the Mets. And I understand, both sides of it. I completely understand it because you know what? Prove it to me. Like, your roster could look good, but until you win games, you can't just automatically be like, oh, the Mets are going to be great. Like, that's why I've said I don't have the Mets win the division. Like, the Braves have done it the past few years. So, for me, my main thing in life is I believe it when I see it. That's the way I look at life because I don't want to give myself these really high expectations like, oh, all these guys are going to play really well. Mets are going to be great. I want to be like, okay, let me make sure that I see it before I predict it. I mean, that's just the way I go about it. I hope Met fans are grateful. You know what, Vincent? There are Met fans that are grateful, but there are plenty of Met fans that are not grateful. They will say it's a failure of an offseason. It was a bust. It was same old Mets, and I just don't agree with that. Like, it's unfortunate the Mets didn't get Real Muto or Springer or LeMahieu or whoever, but they still had a very good offseason. Like, when you look at this Mets team from 2020 and now, this team is so much better. I mean, when you look at Ed Carrasco and Taijuan Walker and Stroman back into the mix, you added Trevor Bauer to the bullpen, you upgrade at catcher, brought in an amazing player like Lindor. Your bench is so much better. Your depth is through the roof better. That's a really good offseason. And you had a top 10 prospect in Khalil Lee. I mean, the Mets did a great job this offseason. So, I mean, I think that Met fans should definitely be more grateful. And I've been hard on them all offseason, don't get me wrong. Just because there were certain contracts like Jeremy Jeffries that I feel like the Mets could have been in on. Minor league deals that I just think that it could have been done. I think a little more can be done for this team. Again, I don't love the bullpen, and we'll see how these young guys do. Again, it's going to be so important that Sam McWilliams and Drew Smith and some of these other guys really step up and be contributors because if not, you're relying on Miguel Castro, who some people think is a diamond in the rough, has a good slider and things like that, has good velocity. It's going to come down to location. Can Betances bounce back? Can Familia be consistent? Will Diaz be 2020 Diaz? Will Lugo come back healthy? How will May transition to the National League? That's another thing I've been thinking about lately is that we look at a lot of the additions that the Mets made, a lot of American League players. So it's going to be a very different transition for these guys. Lindor, Carrasco, May, McCann, all these guys are coming from the American League. So I'm going to be curious to see how they play in the new league. Like Carrasco is going to be going up against different kind of hitters. So even Taijuan Walker spent last year in the American League being with Toronto. I know he spent some time with Arizona, but we'll see. Screw Muto, he didn't want to come to the Mets. Yeah, I know, but it would have been nice to get JT on a more reasonable deal. But I'm excited for Francisco Alvarez, so we'll see. Khalil Lee can be really good. Khalil Lee can be very good as long as his bat develops. That's my main thing with Khalil Lee. Like, he already has the speed. He probably has good defense because of that speed. It doesn't always transition that way. You also have to be very attentive. You have to have good reflexes and reaction time in order to be, and good reads on fly balls in order to be a good defensive outfielder. But the main thing Khalil Lee would be, how is his bat going to perform? That's going to be the main thing. The thing that people forget is Muto and Hoskins were out for more than 10 games last year with injuries. If we had them, we would have made the playoffs. I mean, yeah, it's possible, but everybody had their injuries. Everybody had things like that. Like, if the Mets had Syndergaard and Stroman, I think the Mets probably made the playoffs last year. Why do you think the Mets weren't out some relievers like Jeffries or Rosenthal? Rosenthal was the closer role, the coveted closer role that nobody could have besides Mariano Edwin Diaz. And then for Jeremy Jeffries, I don't know why they didn't want Jeremy Jeffries, because if it's a minor league deal, why not? That's my thing. If it was a major league deal, you don't want to guarantee him stuff, whatever. But on a minor league deal, I don't know why you don't sign Jeremy Jeffries. American League pitchers usually perform better in the NL. That's true, Iceman. A great example of that would be R.A. Dickey, who came to the National League with the Mets and wins a Cy Young compared to being with teams like Minnesota and then going to Toronto and not being as good. So, but still, it's going to be a transition for these guys. Like, McCann's going to be going up against different pitchers. Lindor's going to be going up against different pitchers. And Trevor May and Carrasco are going to be pitching to different hitters. So it's still going to be a transition for these guys. It's going to be different competition. Invest in Alonso. He has Lindor batting it from. He is going to rake. Yeah, I mean, if that is the actual lineup they're going to go with, like, I don't know if the Mets are going to necessarily do that. Like, maybe Conforto's batting it from Alonso. Maybe McNeil's batting it from Alonso. I'm curious to see, like, are the Mets going to have one set lineup, or are they going to switch it around a little bit depending on the pitcher, depending on who's in the lineup, who's out of the lineup? So we'll see who Alonso hits in front of or behind. That's definitely going to be one of the more fascinating things. How are we going to balance the righties and the lefties in this lineup? Because you have some good righties and you definitely have some really good lefties. You have a switch hitter in Francisco Lindor. So it definitely is going to be a differently constructed lineup than last year, because again, with J.D. Davis, he batted third for the majority of the season last year just because he's right-handed and had to provide some right-handed balance to how good a seasons that Brandon Nimmo and McNeil and Conforto and Dom Smith and even Cano were having. And now you have Lindor there, you could put J.D. Davis much lower in the lineup. What do you think of 3 years, 65 for Thor? I mean, get it done. I mean, let's try to keep Thor long term. If we could get him now on a cheap deal since he's hurt, that would be cool. But let's see what he does this year. Can we just be happy with the team we have? To be honest, I'm kind of over these babies whining. We have a good team, much better than last season. I agree. The team definitely is improved from last year. And let's see how they play, because the Mets made a lot of moves. So let's see, are they good or are they bad? I think they will have around 88 to 91 wins. I think the Mets would be closer to like 92 to 95. That's kind of where I have them right now. 95 if you believe Bakota. The thing that I like about Bakota is that you can give them as 95 wins. That's great, but you can't say that the Braves aren't going to be very good. Like that makes no sense to me. Would you want Stroman back if he has a decent year? Hello, AK. It depends on how the contracts work out for Lindor, how it works out for Syndergaard, for Conforto, and how the team looks in general. Like, if the Mets are a Marcus Stroman away from being a World Series contender, then I want to try to keep Stroman. If not, like if David Pierce is pitching well, if Taijuan Walker is pitching well, if I feel like Lucchesi could be in the rotation next year, then maybe I don't need to keep Marcus Stroman. So there's going to be other elements that really impact my decision on Marcus Stroman. Sorry, Phillies fans, you guys ain't competing this year. I mean, the Phillies are still going to be competitive, but I mean, the Braves are better. I feel like the Mets are better, and I think the Nationals are going to be very competitive as well. Other than Lindor or Syndergaard, who else should they extend? Michael Conforto. I mean, that'd be the obvious guy for me. But if not Conforto, I mean, and if not Marcus Stroman, some guys to look at. Again, try to get Jeff McNeil done now. Like, get McNeil done now at a much cheaper AAV before the walk-year happens, like Michael Conforto. Try to get like Dom Smith or P. Alonso done earlier, like sooner than later. I think it's going to be better. I mean, look what the Padres did with Tatis. They got him at such a steal of AAV for someone of his caliber. Dom Smith, yeah, I mean, give Dom Smith an extension. The only problem is going to be, what's his fit going to be long-term? Is it in the outfield? Is it at first base? Is it at a DH spot? So the Mets have to figure out how that's going to work between Alonso and Dom and Nimmo. Like, thing is that, like, let's say Pete Crow Armstrong comes up in a couple years and he's looking really good. You have Pete Crow Armstrong in center field, your corners, and you have Conforto, you have Nimmo. I mean, so where's Dom going to be? It's going to be pretty interesting. The Phillies are competing. They're in a division that's so tough, so third at best. Yeah. If Lindor leaves, Correa will be on the market. Yeah, I mean, there are so many shortstops on the market in this offseason. I mean, you have Correa, you have Javi Baez, you have Corey Seager, you have Trevor Story. So, I mean, there's going to be plenty of shortstops out there, but I don't think Lindor is leaving. I do think there's a very good chance the Mets are going to extend him, and because they know how bad a look it would be if they traded away Rosario, they traded away Jimenez, and they were unable to extend Lindor. Like, they know how bad that would look for them, so they can't let that happen. I really think Lindor will stay on this team. Make Daniel Murphy a coach. I mean, if Murph wants to come back to the Mets organization, I guess they could consider it, but I wouldn't consider that necessarily likely. But definitely excited for tomorrow, no doubt about it. We could do a few more. Maybe we'll stop at around 4:30 because I'm getting a little exhausted here. But a lot of good questions, a lot of good interaction. I appreciate you guys. I'm glad there's so many guys tuned in on such short notice. That definitely makes me very happy to see. And I love talking to you guys, and we could do live streams a bit more often, especially following games, obviously, kind of recap what we thought, what we think about games going forward. So it definitely is very exciting, and there's just going to be a lot of watch in this spring training, because we got so many new guys. We haven't seen Jason McCann yet either, because we saw Tomas Nino and Patrick Mazeika and Bruce Maxwell and Francisco Alvarez. We didn't see Jason McCann yet, so I'm curious to see how he does, because McCann's going to be one of the more interesting guys this whole season, because small sample size where he looked good with Chicago the past couple years, but before that, he wasn't that great of a player. So how good is Jason McCann being in a part-time role with Yasmani Grandal? So we'll see how he does as a full-time catcher in the National League. Murph spaces out too much. I mean, as a coach, I don't think it'll matter as much. But, Murphy was a pretty intensive guy. I think Murphy was more intensive than you thought, because if you watch Daniel Murphy, he would always be looking around the field trying to find the hole in the defense. And that play he made against the Dodgers in the playoffs, where he was able to take third base with that play with Lucas Duda, that was a very heads-up play for a guy that spaces out. Murphy has some bad blood at the end of his career at the Mets on the Rockies. Yeah, I mean, that definitely is true. I mean, maybe things have changed different with the Wilpons being gone, so we'll see. That definitely was one of the bigger mistakes the Mets ever made, was not re-signing Daniel Murphy. Ben Zobrist didn't want to be a Met. I understand why you want to go for Zobrist after he did so well with the Royals, but Daniel Murphy did so much for you, had been a lifelong Met, was great in the NLCS, and he ended up doing so great for the Washington Nationals, especially against the Mets. So that was definitely one of the more unfortunate things that happened in recent years. Put Dom at first and Pete in left? No, all the way around. Put Pete at first, Dom in left. You're not putting Alonso at left field. But Cole, Murphy is built weird. Yeah, Murphy was a bit of a strange guy, no doubt. One of the very interesting things, though, is that I did see they showed Pete Alonso getting some reps at third base. That was interesting. No, because don't forget, Pete Alonso did play some third base in college at Florida. So if things don't work out with JD, could you put Alonso at third? I think he's a little big for a third baseman, but you never know. I mean, the fact that he was taking reps there at third base is something that is kind of being considered, I would say. Plus, the Phillies have a ton of high potential improvement studs, and we have David Diaz, our president of baseball ops, who knows what he's doing. No, I mean, that definitely is true. Dave Dombrowski knows what he's doing. That was an excellent hire by the Philadelphia Phillies if you want to be a team that just competes. So that was a good move. Put Pete at center field, very athletic guy. Yeah, sure. You're not putting Pete Alonso at center field. You're not putting Pete Alonso in the outfield, period. Like, Alonso's at first. If not first, maybe, like, slight chance third. That's it. That's all to Pete Alonso. His long-term fit is probably at DH. I mean, that's where you can get the most out of Pete. Keep him healthy, keep him in the lineup every day, let him hit 40 home runs, and just do what he does. Everyone on the team should be able to play most places on the field. It doesn't really work like that. Like, you'd be surprised. There are very few guys that really have that good versatility. Like, the Mets have done a better job of getting more players like that. Obviously, McNeil comes to mind, J.D. Davis a little bit, adding someone like Jonathan Villar, who plays all over the place. So the Mets have been trying their best to have guys play other positions. But what's unfortunate is that a lot of times the Mets don't have guys in their primary positions. Like, yes, they're playing multiple positions, but Dom Smith isn't supposed to be in left field. Jeff McNeil was not supposed to be at third base last year or in the outfield. Jeff McNeil is supposed to be at second base. So we'll see if they can get guys to be in the right spots. I hope the fans boo the Astros again. For me, I don't really have that much bad blood against the Astros. I just don't. Like, they didn't impact the Mets at all, so I don't really care about the Astros all that much, honestly. I know Yankee fans do. I understand that. Dodgers fans do. I get that. But for me, as a Met fan, the Astros, we had no impact with them. I mean, yes, Beltran kind of affected us, but, I mean, the Astros, like, I hope those guys are still good without the cheating. Obviously, Springer did very well. Correa did well in the playoffs. Altuve and Bregman are the two guys we have got to keep an eye on. Are they actually that good? And, we'll see what happens. I don't have bad blood. I just want it to happen. I mean, yeah, you could boo them. I'm sure they're like on the road, the Astros will get booed for sure. It's the game of baseball. I mean, yeah, it is. Baseball is such a tricky sport. It is one of the hardest sports to predict because you'll have guys that all of a sudden are really good and boom, they're bad, or they come out of nowhere and they're really good. They have good years, bad years. We see it all the time. Baseball is such a tricky sport that 162 is very difficult for any player. Bryce was the same this year, even with injured back for the half. The season would have won MVP if healthy. Yeah, I mean, Bryce Harper is obviously a very good player, but is he a winning player? Well, fine. Just Joy, what did you think of the game? All right, hi, Brandon. Good for you to tune in. Yeah, the thing about the game, like, Mets lost. That stinks. The thing that I didn't like was the two bad base running blunders. The one with Nemo, I'll give him a pass. The one Pilar, I did not like at all. Then Jose Martinez fielding that ball in left field, let Starling Marte go to third base. Riley Gilliam didn't pitch well. They didn't hit with runners on base. So, I mean, it wasn't a pretty game, but it was good to see these guys like Alonso and Nimmo and Lindor finally play. We saw some young players like Sapuki. So it was pretty exciting. I'm definitely more excited for tomorrow when we get a much better camera angle, the better broadcast. We get to see more of our guys out there. Yankees already booed the Astros today. Yeah, I'm sure the Astros are going to get booed because people don't forget. And that Astros thing, it seems like it happened a long time ago because of all the craziness that happened last year, but it really wasn't that long ago. So we'll see. I mean, the Mets aren't going to see the Astros this year unless it was in the World Series, but which is probably unlikely for either side. But, I mean, we'll see what happens with the Astros as the year goes on. We couldn't drive in runs again. Yeah, I mean, it was only the first game. We'll see. Nimmo will always be a good hitter, just not a base runner. Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that Brendan Nimmo, like, he has pretty good speed, but he's another guy that, despite good speed, does not steal enough bases, in my opinion. I would like to see him get a little more aggressive on the base paths because as of right now, the guys that are going to swipe backs for you is VR. Maybe Lindor could swipe a few bases for you. Other than that, how many guys are going to steal? Because the Astros cheating scandal, all teams are more paranoid about signs and leads to long delays between pitches, which is frustrating. Teams changing their signs more often, which is really unfortunate, Mojo. Like, that really does stink. Like, these baseball games don't need to be longer than they already are. And you shouldn't have to worry about teams trying to steal signs electronically. That is really some, like, Little League stuff, some Bush League stuff, I guess you could call it. But, I mean, we'll see how it goes with this whole replays and all these games taking too long. Yeah, I mean, it was just spring training, but, I'm happy it all got hurt today. I completely agree, Jonathan. That is the main thing this season. Like, obviously see what you have in the young guys, but everybody be healthy. Don't do anything dumb. Don't push it. If there's a ball that you can't get to, don't dive. Just be healthy, get your reps in, and just be ready for the season. That's what it's all about right now. Obviously there's some guys like Jose Peraza played a little bit today. Malik Smith played a little bit today. And we're going to see some more guys like Tommy Hunter and Jose Martinez played a little bit, fighting for their major league lives. Like I've said before, if it's not with the Mets, they want to make a team elsewhere. So there are going to be some guys trying their best. But as far as it comes down to some guys like McNeil and Alonso and Dom, I don't want to see themselves getting themselves hurt, especially McNeil. McNeil is a guy that he did last spring training. McNeil will go all out in a spring training game. Like, he will dive for the ball and get himself hurt to save an out. So Jeff has got to chill this spring training. Just, get your hits, and that's all. Pearson could win the Cy Young in the future. I mean, it was only his first year. We'll see. Shari Foley and Tarpley look good. Yeah, Shari Foley looked very good. Tarpley definitely got a quick inning, so that was good to see. Will Tarpley make the roster? The only way Tarpley will make the roster is if he pitches really, really well in spring training. But Shari Foley is definitely a guy that has a chance to have this bullpen because, again, this bullpen's wide open. Like, there are a couple spots that are up for grabs. So Shari Foley could be one of those guys that are in the mix every now and then. And obviously, I want Shari Foley as a reliever. I don't want him as a starting pitcher. I mean, the Mets need bullpen. They don't need rotation help right now. And I'm curious to see, like, what's Jared Eichhoff going to look like? What are these? I mean, the Mets signed so many guys that we even forget. Bold prediction, scary. Gary is scary defensively, but he's winning Gold Glove this year. Are you referring to Gary Sanchez winning Gold Glove? I don't see that happening, Vincent. But, I mean, we'll see. I mean, hopefully Gary Sanchez can bounce back for the Yankees because, I mean, after his rookie season, he has not been the same guy. He was very bad in 2020, offensively and defensively, so he's got to get going. Shane Green still unsigned. Do you think he signs soon? I think Shane Green is probably going to sign maybe like towards the end of spring training, where if a team feels like their bullpen is really bad, or if a team has a bullpen injury, or if somehow Shane Green comes down from his asking price, which, again, I don't know what it is, then maybe Shane Green is going to get signed. But I don't think it's going to be that soon because, like, they should have signed – like, the Mets should have signed Shane Green already with the guys that are left out there, with the needs the Mets have. Shane Green is worth a shot. Like, Riley Gilliam didn't look good today, so you see what these other guys do because – If I'm the Mets and I'm saying, let's say I want to see these minor league guys have, I want to see Drew Smith pitch, I want to see McWilliams pitch, all these other guys pitch. If they don't pitch well and Shane Green and Ray got signed elsewhere, what are you going to do then? That's the question I would have. Mets had a good game other than that one pitch to Jesus. Yeah, no, Jesus Aguilar, he crushed it. Riley Gilliam served up a bomb. Jesus Aguilar absolutely crushed it. And even the play before that, Starling Marte, he had that nice triple. And the Marlins, they're going to be tough. The Marlins still are a pretty solid team. The rotation is very good. The lineup, they have some tough hitters. They're not amazing, but the Marlins are not going to be a team that's going to be easy to beat. The Mets have a very difficult schedule. Jacob Degrom will hit 95 homers, win all the awards, and win the World Series. Steve C., that would be great. I can see Degrom knocking out a couple of dingers, and he definitely could win the Cy Young and be a very important player, but we'll see what happens. Odorizzi he said he's signing by the end of this week. Oh, finally Odorizzi's going to sign. I'm curious to see where it's going to be. It definitely could be the Phillies, could be elsewhere, but, every team could use starting pitching, and besides maybe the Dodgers. So I'm definitely curious to see where Odorizzi is going to sign and what he is going to sign for. That's going to be very intriguing. Would like to see them sign Green. We missed every other bullpen arm, even Jeffries. I agree. There are plenty of bullpen arms out there on very reasonable contracts that the Mets did not get. Pitchers should do lots of BP. Yeah, the pitchers definitely got to get going. One thing I want to see from Mets pitchers this year, not so much the hitting. I know DeGrom is going to hit. I know Syndergaard is going to hit well and all that stuff. I want to see these guys bunt a little better because the Mets bunting for a long time has been abysmal. And it's going to be important this year. Get guys over. Put them in scoring position for Lindor and McNeil and Nimmo and these guys. So I do want to see the Mets definitely be much better with the bunting, be better in the field, be better running the bases, just fundamentals, things like that. I want to see a team that has good fundamentals, which we have not seen from the Mets in a while. So we'll see how that changes. And so far, today was not a good start. The defense wasn't amazing. Like I already said, the baseline was not great. But we'll see how it develops as far as the season progresses. But it's going to be different for pitchers, and it's unfortunate for them. It's you don't have the DH. You had the DH last year. This year, you don't. You probably don't have the DH. The next year, you do. So I do feel bad for the pitchers. Do you think David Robinson will sign soon? Do you think Mets will get him? I think David Robinson is going to be another guy. He's going to take a while. I wouldn't mind if the Mets got him. Take a chance on somebody because David Robertson can't be asking for a lot. I'm all for signing just one more veteran reliever, just one more, and see what you got. How good is Zach Wheeler as a hitter, and thoughts on the great season last year? Zach Wheeler he's a good hitter. Zach Wheeler's a pretty good hitter. I remember vividly him hitting very well. And Zach Wheeler's just a good athlete, good pitcher. So, and Zach Wheeler pitched well for the Phillies last year. I'm happy for Zach Wheeler. I was always a huge Zach Wheeler fan. I wish the Mets could have kept him. And we'll see how the rest of his contract plays out in Philadelphia. I can see the Mets overperforming. I sure hope so. Imagine DeGrom in the Central. Yeah, DeGrom would have a 0-point-something ERA in the Central last year. The way Yu Darvish and Trevor Bauer pitched so well, I could see the same happening with DeGrom. Just logging on, Frank, my guy, hands down the best Mets YouTuber. Thank you, Dino. I appreciate that. You missed Terry Collins. At first, I didn't like Terry Collins that much as far as in-game managing. I didn't think he was great, but seeing the way managers have been since then, I do miss Terry Collins a little bit. Don't mind me, Will. That one got away. It did. And that's just unfortunate because, that was previous ownership. And I hope that with this new ownership, things like that aren't going to happen anymore where you let guys slip away to a division rival just because of money. That really was unfortunate because I was a big fan of Zach Wheeler because you guys know my favorite Mets player ever was Beltran. So getting Wheeler back, it kind of felt like, Wheeler was kind of tied to Beltran a little bit still. So I didn't want to see him be well. William, that was such kind words. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day. Very kind words, William. Anyways, anything else we got? Anything nicer we want to say at 4:30 before maybe we sign off? We still have 34 people in here, so we can keep going if you guys have more stuff you want to talk about. DeGrom's here would be too good to show up on the stat sheet. It wouldn't be fair. Yeah, I would love to see DeGrom pitch against the Central. But as a Met, though, even though it's not possible, but, DeGrom is so good. Omar, Marlins going to win the East. I don't see that happening. The East is too good for them. The Marlins are still going to be competitive, but they're not going to be better than the Braves. Sorry, William. It's all right, William. Just whatever, bro. Trade for Kelenic back. Yeah, that was interesting. Jared Kelenic does like the way things are going with the Mariners so far. Listen, let's get Kelenic back. Kelenic, don't sign an extension with the Mariners. Wait it out. We are coming. Just play out that contract with Seattle, and we will get you. Just stay calm. Help is on the way, Jared Kelenic. What did William say? I'm not even going to repeat. It wasn't that bad, but he was just messing around. So it's all good. But, it's definitely good that YouTube is my own mod to some extent. Hi, Scaratic. How's it going? How's everyone's day going? I mean, I know by me, it's just cloudy and it's been ugly the past few days. I want some sun. Like spring training, I was just like, I was kind of sad because I'm looking at Florida. It's beautiful weather. And here we got this crappy weather. How long before I extend Lindor if we do? I hope it's within the next couple of weeks, honestly. Like Lindor said, he doesn't want to talk a contract extension during the course of the season. So it's got to happen sometime during spring training. So hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we can really get Lindor locked up. It's nice where I am. Steve, see, where are you that you got the nice weather? Kelnick should demand a trade. I know, but things that the Mariners would ask for so much. Like the problem is we already gave up Kelnick. Like, do we want to give up more prospects just to get guys back? William, don't be mean to Vincent. Vincent's been a long time supporter of the channel. Everybody just get along here. Come on now. Can't we all just get along? Mickey S. loving the channel. Thank you very much. New Jersey. Really good weather in Jersey. How about that? That's interesting. Wow. Who would have thought? You know, we're definitely close by. But hopefully Vincent, what are we doing, guys? Are we going to be mean now? LOL, JK. All right. Anyways, but do you see Mets making a big trade deadline acquisition due to fan pressure and Degrom aging? I think it depends on how the Mets season is going. Like, if the Mets are doing well and it looks like they're one big move away from having a really good season, I can see the Mets making a big move at the deadline. If I were Lindor, I would just get it done. And it doesn't get extended. He's going to think about it all season. Yeah, that's what Lindor said. Lindor said if he's going to sign the contract, he's going to do it during spring training because he doesn't want to think about it during the course of the season. And if I'm him, I would like that long-term financial security, not have to worry about anything. Like, if I do bad, I'm still going to give him my money. So, I mean, there always is that effect. But I don't think Lindor is that kind of guy. I feel like Lindor would play well regardless of money just because that seems like the kind of guy he is. I have a trade idea for Kalanick, Robbie Cano, and Edward Diaz. Yeah, the Mariners are going to accept that. Marlins on the Mets. Omar far too many times. The Marlins do beat the Mets. So that definitely is very unfortunate. Excited that Sandy said they're going after extensions for Lindor, Conforto, and Syndergaard. That was massive, Brandon. That was very huge that Sandy said that today. Vincent, I love your channel. Keep it up, underrated. Thank you, Vincent. I appreciate it. Send them back. Yeah, that would be cool if they could. Guys, don't worry. In 8 years, Ronald Acuna is a free agent. That would be pretty interesting if the Mets could snag Acuna. I don't think that's going to happen. Siamo said earlier today he expects work on extension for Thor, Conforto, and Lindor in a few weeks in a YouTube video. Yeah, I saw Sandy say that today. Phil's record is worse than the Mets against the Marlins. Yeah, I mean, no, the division is just tough. Like, just in general, the Mets have a tough time with everybody. Like, the Mets don't win the games they're supposed to, and I hope that changes this season because it's going to have to. It is going to be so close, and if there's not expanded playoffs, you know the Padres already have a wild card spot. You can't just be giving games away. So this is a big year for the Mets. Acuna's getting way underpaid. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, him and Ozzy Albies are both getting underpaid. And the Braves, they made a brilliant decision to sign those guys so early. At some point, we should trade for a young, controllable superstar center fielder. Let's see how Pete Crow Armstrong develops before we go crazy in center field. I mean, I'm willing to give Pete Crow a chance because everybody knows his defense is there, which is what the Mets need right now in center field is defense. Pete Crow Armstrong already has that. So let's see how his bat develops. He is still very young, hasn't had a minor league season yet. Let's see what he does in spring training. I'm curious to see how Pete Crow Armstrong is going to look against some major league competition because he still is very young. And who knows what else is out there. Like, there are other trades the Mets could consider for center field if those teams want to do it. Like, do the Twins want to get rid of Buxton? Do the Athletics want to get rid of Laureano? Do the Brewers want to get rid of Lorenzo Cain? You know, I mean, there are some guys out there, but we'll see what happens. Mets are just a wannabe Yankees. I think the Mets and Yankees are a little different, but we'll see. I mean, the Yankees, they can win the 100 games, but if they don't get to the World Series, I mean, how exciting is that? I think if I'm a Yankee fan, I would be extremely disappointed that this team has so much talent and they never go to the World Series because the pitching and the hitting with runners on base does not get it done. If the Marlins were in any other division in the West, they would be top of that division. They'd be in the running, but I don't know if they'd win it. So much fans overreacted this game. I mean, Met fans overreact in general, and I do too. I overreact. I know that you guys tell me I overreact. I do. That is true. But, I mean, it's just one game. It's the first game, so you're always going to overreact a little bit. So let's see. Just had a random glitch where I was typing Russian. I mean, the internet is a weird thing. There's always glitches going on. But Mets are wannabe Dodgers. Yeah, Uncle Steve said so in the initial press conference. That's true. But the thing is that the Dodgers are doing, look what they did getting Justin Turner going way over the tax. Like, if the Mets want to be like the Dodgers, I like to see the Mets go way over the tax. Really go for it. Go all in. I know 3 to 5 years, but it would be nice to see that $14 billion really start to show. And it will once Lindor is extended, but we'll see what happens here. All right, Omar, don't be a bit of a troll here. I mean, or else I don't have a mod, but I'll have to get one, and then see you later. Lose first straight game. Yeah, no, Brandon, you are so right. If the Mets lose opening day, everyone's going to be like, same old Will Ponds. I mean, Met fans, they can overreact pretty quickly. Mets have built-in depth like 27 to 50 like the Dodgers. Yes, the Mets depth looks very, very good. Like, I took it upon myself and LB the show to kind of like put the Mets team together and just look at it from top to bottom. And I look at the entire roster and I say, wow, like even in the minor leagues, the Mets have a lot of just solid players, just like all across the board. I can't believe how good the depth is on this team. I was only joking when I said that. I don't know which one you're referring to, William, but it's all good, man. Yankees have an all-star team, have not won anything. I mean, yeah, it's true. It's been a while since the Yankees have won. Mets always win opening day. That is true. The Mets have historically been very, very good opening day. So we'll see what happens there. I hope that definitely continues. You always like to win opening day. Just start the season undefeated, start 1-0. Freddie Freeman is the man. Bryce loves to. I hate facing Freddie Freeman. He is so freaking good. And that's the thing about this National League East. Like, whether it's the Phillies with Harper and those guys or the Braves with Acuna and Albies and Freeman, the Nationals with Soto and Turner, there are tough players everywhere in this division. Even the Marlins are going to be tough. Facing Sixto Sanchez and some of these other guys, it's not going to be fun. Mets making a push for the first time this owner. Dodgers have been the top seed NL for 10 years and now have competition. That's why they did go over this year. And the Padres are also giving the Dodgers a good push as well. I feel like that was a big factor. The fact that the Padres went all out, getting Blake Snell, getting Yu Darvish, getting Musgrove, getting Kim from overseas, re-signing Jurickson Profar. Like, the Padres have done so much for their team that the Dodgers like, wait a minute, let's not let them catch up. Let's stay ahead, get Bauer, re-sign Justin Turner, and things like that. 10-1 in 2018. Steve C, that was the worst. I was so high on the Mets in 2018. I was like, oh my gosh, Mets going to have a big year and things like that. And it was brutal. I'm pretty sure Freeman's a free agent next year. I don't think Freeman's a free agent this year. I'm pretty sure he's under contract for a while. There is competition in that specific division. Yeah, so that had to do with the Dodgers' decision-making as well. Pablo Lopez is underrated, probably the best pitcher in Marlins rotation. Yeah, Pablo Lopez, he's another guy that's a really good arm in that Marlins rotation. So they're going to be tough. Like, once you have a really good rotation, you're in every game no matter what. So the Marlins are going to be tough. I'm sure you love Rhys Hoskins. I think he earned the slow trot he threw at his head. I mean, yeah, Rhys Hoskins is not exactly my favorite player. If Bauer reverts back to his career average, Padres have the best rotation in baseball. Yeah, that's a good point. Bauer doesn't perform. Padres definitely have a really good rotation. 3 years for Freeman. Freeman is a free agent next year. No. Yes. No. What is Freddie Freeman's contract? Some people say yes. Some people say no. I'm pretty sure Freeman is not a free agent next year. Even if he was, like, the Mets wouldn't get him. Alonso and Dom Smith are there, so it's not going to work out. Part is the Dodgers received $300 million from the TV deal, completely covers payroll expense. That's a good point. I mean, when you're in a big market and things like that, and the Dodgers going to have probably a lot of nationally televised games, a lot of the money is covered automatically. So we'll see what happens with how the payroll works out, TV deals, all that stuff. And I'm curious to see how things work out for Steve Cohen in his day job because, we know that the Mets are not going to have full capacity at Citi Field, so Cohen's maybe going to lose some money there. But if Cohen can make some more money in his day job, then maybe there'll be more money for the team. You never know. That's always going to be something to keep in mind when it comes to money-wise. Marlins, no matter what, headache for the Mets. Oh, yeah, for sure. Could Harold Gonzalez make the rotation this season? I don't think that's going to happen. I feel like the Mets have enough depth as far as pitching where there are going to be other guys over Gonzalez. Lindor smiled about potential extension. Yep, yes, he did. I'm excited. I'm excited that Lindor is a Met. We'll see what happens. Mets trade for Andrew Knapp. I don't see it happening. But, I mean, if Tomas Nido doesn't do well, we could use a better backup catcher. Our TV deal's for like 30 years, so we're in a pickle there. Yeah, we still got SOY. Lucky us. Free agency next year is rough for Mets. It's loaded with shortstops and 2 of our pitchers. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, that's why, like, extend your guys now and go from there. Like, maybe you make a trade. Like, the Mets might have to be more creative in the trade market and maybe give him one of those third basemen like Vientos or somebody like that. We'll see what happens. Instead of Caleb Joseph, I've gone Ty Flowers. I completely agree with Skiratic. It's very interesting that Ty Flowers remains unsigned, even though he is a very good defensive catcher. But we'll see what happens. But, I mean, I want to see what Tomas Nido does because I did see an article where people were like, oh, Tomas Nido is still going to be a good hitter again like he was in 2020. We'll see about that. What days do you go live and what time? We'll see. Like, there isn't a set schedule quite yet. It depends on what I'm doing that day and just the Met schedule, what it's like. So we'll see how often the streams are. But the plan is to do one tomorrow. Tomorrow's one, I promise, will not be long because I am busy tomorrow night. So We'll just try to do maybe like a very, very quick one tomorrow. It was a first home game we got to see on TV, SNY, blah, blah, blah. Did they do good? Did they do bad? And then we'll probably hop out, take a few questions, and that's it. Being underpaid in MLB is still really good. Oh, yeah, for sure. Would you love to have one of these MLB contracts? It's good. Andrew Knapp was great in 2020. Yes, Andrew Knapp was very good in 2020. But Tomas Nido was too. And it's such a short season. But those guys are backup players. It's so hard to really get a good feel for. What kind of contract do you see Lindor and Conforto getting? Like I said, Lindor is going to be either 8 years, 280, or 10 years, like 350, something like that. As far as Conforto, his contract is so much tougher. Like, I don't know, do the Mets want to go 6, 150 like Springer? Do they want to go 8 years, 200? Like, there's a lot of different ways the Mets could go. Yamamoto is not good. You should have not done that deal. I mean, Yamamoto is probably going to be in the minor leagues regardless. The Mets could have used like a little more rotation depth. So I did not hate the Yamamoto deal. The Mets did not give up much at all to get him. So we'll see what happens. Steve's day job will make even richer after the pandemic. I can tell you myself, if you invested from March to June 2021, you bank eventually. Yeah, that's a good point since the market was so down. Freeman's a free agent next year. Guys, I'm going to look at what's your name? My name is Frank. It's Frank About Sports. Will you do recap of daily games during Mets season? Yeah, probably. There'll probably be a lot of recaps for the Mets. I would do Conforto 6 with club options 7 and 8. That'd be pretty good. I like Yamamoto. Yeah, let's see what Yamamoto does tomorrow. I'm curious to see what he's got for sure. Guess Brandon, LOL. I don't. I'm not even sure what's going on here in the comment section. What you guys are talking about, but it's all good. Your phone died again. Mars, plug in your phone, man. Where is the closest outlet? Take a wire. You plug it into the phone and you're good. Freeman is a free agent. All right, fine. That's it. I'm looking it up. I'm going to look up Freddie Freeman's contract to get the exact details because I'm pretty sure he is not a free agent next year, but let's see. Let us see. Oh, so Freddie Freeman has in 2020, Freddie Freeman earned a $20 million salary. He has an 8-year, $135 million deal with the Braves. Great. So, is he actually a free agent next year? Oh, snap. You guys might be right about that. Sad. Devontae Freeman is my favorite free agent. No, he's not, Mike. He wasn't good for your fantasy team. What are you talking about? Atlanta offered Freeman a 4-year extension in the top of 2020, making a 2025 optic fifth. I have it's my laptop. My younger brother has. Oh, I got you. Yamamoto had 2 good games against Cardinals. That's it. He also had good games against the Mets. It is Franklin. I'm just kidding. Enjoy the contest. Yeah, Brandon, it is not Franklin. Come on now. It's just Frank. Believe me, Mother Charge Network. I got you. Us like Yamamoto, 24-year-old who has performed at times at major league level. Yeah, I mean, Yamamoto's still very young, so we'll see what he can bring to the table. But I'm difficult. So I guess Freddie Freeman is a free agent next year. But again, like the Mets aren't getting him. Hopefully he goes to the American League. But that guy's a Brave. Like I really think the Braves are going to re-sign Freddie Freeman. That's not something I would really be looking at too much. I do feel that he is going to stay a Brave. Like he's a Brave. So I really wouldn't worry about that all too much. Because again, we have Alonso, we have Dom Smith. We shouldn't be too concerned about that. I would love to get him out of the National League East though, for sure. I know this is not a business trading related, but I've seen 100% plus portfolios. And if amateurs and YouTubers can make that happen, imagine the top dogs. Listen, I like to make some good money from YouTube, but as of right now, I am not. I don't get the amount of views or I guess like ad watch or whatever to make the money, but whatever, we'll see. Rate Marlins offseason. I'll say the Marlins offseason is like a D or a C. I mean, they didn't do too much. Added Adam Duvall, added a couple of pitchers, but not much. Who should Shane Green sign with? He should sign with the Mets, but I don't know where he's going. I have no idea where Shane Green is going. I feel like some team is going to get desperate that really needs bullpen, and kind of like Rosal is just going to give Shane Green a bunch of money, maybe a closer role. Maybe Shane Green's holding out for a closer role. You never know. You do get ads. It's just some people skip it. No, I know people skip ads. Like I understand that, but whatever. If you guys want to watch the ads, it helps me out. If not, it's fine too. It's whatever. Adam Duvall was a steal. It was. That definitely was a very good contract. But other than that, I mean, the Marlins didn't do too much. I mean, for the most part, they still have a lot of the same team intact. Weak bullpen, yeah. I'll take Green over Diaz any day. I mean, we'll see what happens with Diaz this year. Again, dead ball. We'll see how Diaz is. Once fans are back in the stadium, I'm very curious to see. He's the guy that I'm really going to keep my eye on for sure. But, I mean, again, just this whole bullpen in general is going to be so important for this team because it'd be so disappointing if the offense is playing really well, giving you a bunch of runs. Degrom or Carrasco gives you a great start, and then the 7th inning or 8th inning, Mets bullpen blows and they lose. I can't take another year of that. I cannot see another year of that happening. If Waka is great this year, we need to figure out what our coaching staff is doing wrong. I like Hefner is a good pitcher coach. Brandon, I wouldn't be too worried about that. I think that would be more so just that the Rays are freaking brilliant. Like the Rays, they just get the most out of everybody. I don't think that's more so a Mets thing. That's more of a Rays thing. You going to any Mets games this year? Probably. I don't think so. We'll see. It's too far from me. I mean, being on Long Island, the commute, just with COVID right now, if there was no pandemic, I would definitely be at the Met games more often, but we'll see. A prediction for Lindor extension, I think it's going to be the 10-year, like 345. That's my prediction. Diaz bounce back is golden. That'd be huge. G. Segura loves hitting off Ed Luz Diaz. Oh, I know he does. I've seen it way too many times. 6-man rotation. They considered it. Like, I mean, maybe they'll do it. Once Syndergaard comes back, if you could have a 6-man rotation of Degrom and Carrasco, Stroman, Syndergaard, Taijuan Walker, David Peterson, I'm down with it. Have you ever taken the NYC subway? No, I didn't take the subway. I just took the Long Island Railroad. I took it all the way down to Citi Field a couple of times. Have you? Who won the game? The Marlins won 2-0. I hope Sandy doesn't F up the extension. I don't think he will. Where Michael Franco signed, he had a great year. Who knows where Franco's going to sign, honestly? I mean, are there any teams that could really use a third baseman? We'll see. Diaz needs to step up big time. Yeah, we definitely need 2020 Diaz and not 2019 Diaz. Again, that's going to be absolutely massive for this team. But I would say next year for sure, I'm going to a lot of Met games, even road games. I'm going. Like next year is like number one on my list is to go to a lot of Met games. Do you think pitchers will be significantly affected by short season last year? Like, will they be able to go 200 plus? I don't think so. I think pitchers are going to be they're going to be very careful with pitchers this year. I have a very funny feeling that they're not going to let pitchers pitch that deep into games. And unfortunately for the Mets, that means more bullpen. And again, I just don't love this Mets bullpen right now. We'll see what happens. Like, it could prove me wrong. Like, the Mets bullpen has potential. Like, it's not impossible for the Mets bullpen to do good. I just don't predict it. I don't live in NYC. No, I live on Long Island. This guy just traded away Alec Bohm to me with my fantasy baseball. At least that's what's up, Jonathan. He's probably going to rake. This is a chance Rojas manage a future All-Star team. I mean, we'll see what happens with Rojas. Rojas is going to be another one of those big-time storylines for this team because Luis Rojas, he wasn't a great manager in his first go-around. So this team is significantly improved, and if the team on paper is significantly improved, so if they don't actually play better, then how much longer could you keep Rojas? The bullpen isn't terrible, but you used to this. It's not like once Lugo comes back, like the back end of May, Lugo Diaz isn't bad, but it should come down to Betances, Familia, and Castro, these other guys. Aaron Nola doesn't want 6-man rotation. Steve, what is that? I can't even see what that is. I see Beltran rehiring next year or 2023. With the Mets, Brandon, I don't know if it would happen with the Mets. That just doesn't seem like a Steve Cohen or Sandy Alston type hiring, at least in my opinion. But, I mean, whoever the next manager is, to me, that's the other thing about Rojas. Like, let's say you fired Rojas. What manager would you guys want to see? Like, there aren't that many great managerial candidates out there. And nowadays, the manager doesn't even have as much control as they used to. Like, the front offices really control the games. What do you think about the Knicks? I'm very excited that the Knicks are playing much, much better, and I'm curious to see if they could actually make the playoffs and where else if they can make any moves at the deadline. We'll see what happens with the Knicks. I'm very curious how they do. I don't want to see Gazelman pitch a single game this year. Hey, Gazelman has a good chance to make this bullpen, so he probably will pitch some games. Jan, what's up, Hayden? Everybody go check out Hayden. Where do you see Castillo ending the season? I think he's going to stay with the Rays. Rojas is a team guy's done good in the minors. Listen, Rojas could do well with the players, but if the players don't play well, I don't care. I want the team to win. How do I feel about Gurriel's brother getting booed by the Yankees fans? That was so dumb. What does Lourdes Gurriel Jr. do with Julius Gurriel? Besides the fact they're brothers, Gurriel wasn't on the Astros, so why would you boo him? That's just like being desperate. Do you get donations? I don't have donations set up. I was going to do StreamYard, but if you guys watch Mets Weekly, my camera and StreamYard don't get along. I don't know why, but you guys have seen for an hour, 36 minutes, and 30 seconds, my camera has been flawless. But as soon as I go on StreamYard and Mets Weekly, my camera goes bonkers. So I got to get that figured out. Hey, bro, relatively new to YouTube. Have any tips? Yeah, if I had tips, it would be clickbait and rumors. But that's what gets Met channels growing from what I've seen. How many regular season weeks do you think Lugo will miss and eventually break down? No, I hope the Lugo elbow turns out to be okay. They said his UCL is still in pretty good shape, which is what I was worried about because don't forget that in the World Baseball Classic, he originally hurt his elbow. But I think that Lugo will be back probably like second week in May, first week in May, sometime around there. Buck Showalter is so old, and he just doesn't have a good playoff track record. So Buck Showalter isn't really that high on my list. I think we'll do good this season. I think Mets will be pretty good. The Yankee fans are toxic. Yeah, sometimes. New owner, new mindset for sure. I want Drew Smith to make the spin. He has a good chance to. Well, you don't want bone raking against the Mets. Yeah, that's true. I believe the clubhouse will take a jump with personality. So yeah, Marincea will look good in this case. I mean, I'm not worried about the personalities. Like the Mets do have a lot of wonderful personalities on the team. This is a very young, exciting team. Like, we see the kind of passion, energy, enthusiasm these guys have, like Alonso and JD and Stroman and Nimmo and Lindor and even Taijuan Walker. So it's very exciting. If you need to learn about the clickbait, talks of the Hut. Yeah, no, I mean, Baseball Hut, I'm not going to talk about anybody in particular, but, he ended up leaving Mets Weekly, and that was up to him, so it's whatever. Which top prospect would be called up first? I guess probably Kelenic or Rodriguez. Not Rodriguez. I would say Kelenic probably. We would have hired Girardi, but we'll pass it up. I agree. I want Girardi so bad. Do you plan on doing any more the show vids? Maybe. We'll see. I don't count. I'm not counting on it, but maybe. It's in the back of my mind. To me, Ross took on paper postseason cowboy tweet and tied last. Not a big fan of Ross. I agree, but the thing is that the pitching wasn't good, Brandon. I think if we had a healthy rotation, we would have had a much different season. Wonder how Rosario and Jimenez are doing. We'll find out. I feel like Jimenez is going to do pretty well. Rosario, I don't think Rosario is going to be that good. I just think that he's too inconsistent. He's never going to learn his play discipline. Like, plate discipline, plate vision, you could see just looking at Jimenez and Rosario, it's something you have or you don't. Rosario doesn't have it. Rosario chases way too much. Meanwhile, Jimenez is much smarter at the plate. So I just think that Rosario's tendency to chase and his inconsistent defense and his ability to not utilize his speed to steal enough bases means that Rosario is never going to live up to the player that he should have been. So it's very unfortunate, but I do think Jimenez will still have a good major league career. I love Hut, though. It's a shame his family's in some debt. I did not know anything about Hut's family, but I mean, I wish everybody the best. So we'll see what happens with his channel, with my channel, with everybody's channel. It's whatever. A potential starting pitcher and bullpen arms could be traded at the deadline. To the Mets. Yeah, that's probably what they're looking at. Like if JD plays well, they're probably going to be looking at bullpen at the trade deadline. I mean, who knows? Maybe the Sandy Alston could pull off another Addison Reed, Tyler Clippard-like trade at the deadline like he did in 2015. 2020, we had no rotation. It's not all his fault. No Syndergaard, no Sherman hurt so bad. I agree. How many home runs will Lindor hit this season? 36. That is my prediction for Francisco Lindor. He will hit 36 home runs. Who's going to be better offensively this year, Dom or Pete? I think that Pete will hit more home runs, but Dom will have a much better average. So I think as far as the complete package, I think Dom will have the better offensive year. Missing out big fishes could be blessing in disguise. That's a good point, Scribe, because even Sandy also talked about the fact that, like, all right, we know Real Muto maybe not want to be a Met. We know that if you sign Springer, you probably don't re-sign Lindor, and obviously a lot of people didn't want Bauer to begin with. So we'll see how these – I mean, we know the first couple of years, like, it would have been nice to have these guys, but at the end of Springer's contract, at the end of Real Muto's contract, in 5 years from now, let's see where the Mets are at. Let's see where Real Muto and Springer are at, and then we can fully evaluate those decisions. Yeah, but if extending Lindor, well, I know about Lindor. I feel like no matter what, even with or without Lindor, you had to keep him, whether you got those other guys or not. But Conforto was the guy that'd be a lot more tricky to extend. All right, what else we got? I guess we'll probably go until 5 o'clock because I do have to get ready for work soon. But anything else we got? Sandy also said because of McCann, we're able to get Lindor and Carrasco. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, that was the whole reason why you signed McCann over J.T. Realmuto, the ability to go be able to get out other players. Okay. All right, but I'm curious to see how it goes with James McCann. Again, he's a guy that is definitely on my radar big time. And Carrasco, again, I'm extremely excited for him. And he's going to be really important because, again, we know the Mets struggle with starting pitching, how much of an impact Carrasco can make. He could maybe be one of the biggest additions of the whole offseason. So I'm excited to see what Carrasco could do. How many years do you see us extending Conforto? It's going to be somewhere from 6 to 8. A Springer in hindsight was a bad deal for us if 156-year contract had only given us 2 years to the start. Exactly. I like pineapple pizza, question mark. I like pineapples on pizza. I got no thing with that. Wait, there's Edwin Diaz on athletics. Yes, there's an infielder on the athletics in Edwin Diaz, and actually also is Puerto Rican. So that's pretty interesting that there are 2 Puerto Rican Edwin Diaz's in the MLB. And also the Yankees have a right-handed Justin Wilson who is a pitcher. So that's another interesting one as far as the way names are concerned. And that's always an interesting thing when you have players with the same names. You know, even the Marlins, they used 2 Diaz's. They had Isan Diaz and what's this guy's name? Lenwin Diaz. And even the Mets have another Diaz. Mets have Yense Diaz, who they acquired in the Steven Matz trade. I'm happy we didn't trade for KB. We would probably say that's true. McCann is like 3/4 of Muto. Yeah. Also, Will Smith homered off Will Smith. That's another good one. Who are your 2021 Mets All-Stars? I'd say Alonso, McNeil, Degrom, Lindor, and Conforto. I agree. Those would be my picks too. Alonso, McNeil. Yeah, that would be my picks too, Hayden. I mean, those are the guys I'd predict. Definitely McNeil. I'm sorry. Definitely Degrom. Definitely Lindor. Probably Conforto. And then Alonso, McNeil are the guys that are maybes. Jazz or Isan Diaz. Or you're talking about Jazz Chisholm maybe? I mean, because he's an up-and-coming prospect. Don't forget McCann. For an all-star, I guess, because McCann did make the All-Star team in 2019, so that's a fair point. But we'll see how it goes. It's a little tougher to make it nationally with Realmuto being there, but we'll see how that goes. The fact that the guy was an All-Star in 2019, not too long ago. Yeah, I like Jazz. No, Jazz Chisholm, he's an up-and-coming prospect. There's a lot of good prospects that are on the way in Major League Baseball that are coming very shortly. So I'm curious to see how this next generation of players really look and all these different guys, because all these teams have a lot of big prospects up and coming. And even for the Mets, I can't wait to see Francisco Alvarez eventually. I want to see Pico Armstrong and Mauricio, Matthew Allen, all these guys. We'll see how it goes. At least we saw a few of them today. That was pretty exciting, but I'm curious to see how they develop as far as the way spring training is going. And just the fact that the Mets have the full roster of 75 guys, I found that very fascinating as well. So they're definitely giving a lot of guys an opportunity here for sure. And that's very interesting for a team that does not have that many openings in their roster to have so many guys on their 75. Also, Lindor said J.D. Davis has improved a lot, and I think it will continue to improve, and I think having Lindor will improve J.D.'s defense. I'm excited to see Casey Mize play full season. Yeah, no, Casey Mize, he's another very exciting prospect with Detroit. Thoughts on J.J. Blade? I don't even know who that is. Which low radar expectation do you think will outperform expectation? I want to say Jonathan VR, but he did not look good in the first spring training game. But I just think that VR could just do so much that when you look at the kind of contract the Mets gave him, he could give you so much value. People these days, clickbait content, for example, a guy fakes his son's death and then a joke and exposes himself and now makes mess up content and wants to box people. He's a Clash of the Bauer. Yeah, there's a lot of clickbait out there on the internet right now, and I try not to be too clickbaity. Maybe I'll be a little misleading, with the projections, just to get you guys to mess around a little bit, just to troll a little bit. But I try to be as honest as I can with everything, whether it's the titles, whether it's what I say in the videos. It is Frank About Sports. I do try my absolute best to be honest just about everything. Thoughts on Joel Embiid? I mean, he's got a chance at winning the MVP this year. Embiid has had a tremendous year, and it's just good to see that Philadelphia is playing very well. I was surprised it was DH today. Yeah, in spring training, there's going to be DH, so it's going to happen. Only try to sound up, but Dave Roberts will be manager, and he gets to choose non-starters. Oh, that's a good point. There definitely could be a lot of Dodgers. Is McNeil the best second baseman in the NL, both offensively and defensively combined? In the National League, yeah, I think you can make that case. I think McNeil gets it all done. Will we get any guys from the waiver wire? Maybe eventually. It depends on how the team is doing. Your best Mets pitcher of all time? Well, if I'm allowed to say Tom Seaver, I would say Tom Seaver. Would you trade for Zach LaVine? If I'm the next, no. I don't think LaVine is that guy. I don't think Zach LaVine is that future superstar that you could build a franchise around that takes you to the playoffs. So I don't think that Zach LaVine is someone I really go for. Do you think Trevor May will be good for the Mets? Yes, I think Trevor May will be pretty good. Not defensively, but definitely offensively. You'd be surprised. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised with just how good Jeff McNeil is defensively at second base. Jeff McNeil is a good defensive second baseman, and we'll see that. Sometimes you need a clickbait. I mean, I don't want to, but lately the views haven't been as good lately. Maybe that's more so on me, but we'll see. Embiid got an injured ankle, though questionable for tonight, as long with Tobias. Yeah, Tobias Harris has been out lately. Colton Wong is better defensively. No, I'm not saying that McNeil is the best defensive second base. I'm just saying that when you consider offense and defense combined, I would say McNeil is probably the best second baseman in the National League. Sixers should get Lowry. That would be a great acquisition for them. We can't miss on waivers. We got JD there. Who is winning the World Series this year? Not the Mets, Los Angeles Dodgers. I just think that their team is still too all-around powerful to really count out. All right, we'll take final questions, and then we will hop on out here and get ready for tomorrow's stream. So thank you so much for tuning in, guys. We got a lot of support today. A lot of people checked in, so I really appreciate it. We got so many comments. I love talking to all you guys, and it's a lot of fun. So we'll take last questions, and then we will hop on out of here and get ready for tomorrow, get some rest. Nice live. Thank you, Cole. Thank you for checking in. Thank you, everybody. Robert, Skaratic, Omar, Jonathan, Hayden, Mojo, everybody that tuned in. Brandon, we had so many people in here today. So I really appreciate everybody checking in. It was a really, really awesome stream. Especially, just the first spring training game. That was a road game that at the last second I was like, let me do a stream. LFGR, great stream. Thank you. I love the video when you make my idea. Yeah, and you suggested some other ideas, which I will be making. It's a great stream. Can you say my name? William Purdy. I think that's how I say his name. Should the Mets try and get Nick Anderson? That would be an interesting one because Nick Anderson, he had that down playoffs in the World Series, and the Mets could use the bullpen. Tampa's always willing to get rid of players, so he'd be something to consider. You seem like a cool guy. I'm for sure. Thank you, Omar. I appreciate that. The guy you see on stream for the most part is the guy in real life. Other than like when I'm watching the Mets game, there's a lot more rage with some like bad words. But other than that, you got the real me on here. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Mojo, for watching. Mars Gaming is from Sailor Mars from Sailor Moon, which is an anime. I got you. All right, that makes sense. What time you be on tomorrow? Probably shortly after the game ends, like we did today. Like I'll probably be on just for a little bit because I do have somewhere to be tomorrow night. But that's what we'll be doing tomorrow. I can't believe I stayed for 100 minutes. You're that good. Yes, Vincent, you were in here from the beginning to the end, so I appreciate that. All right, so we'll just take last calls. I'm excited to see Lindor play this season. Okay, bye, William. Dude, I woke up. You can see you're still streaming. Shy, go to bed, man. Yeah, I'm fishing right now, Shy. So thank you for tuning in, everybody. Until the next one, be safe, be smart, be healthy, and let's go, Mets. See you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in.